Ah, yes. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're up and we're ready, and we're about to take you on a journey. Yes, Mr. Frodo, we're on a journey. All right, are you ready? Let's get cracking. We got lots of good things happening this morning. Of course, being a Tuesday, we also have a surprise.
No, I thought I was the surprise. Like, I thought you were ramping up to introduce me. What is this?
Only surprise is that you actually got your Springbok rugby jersey.
Oh.
Typical. The only guy in the country to get it like 2 days too late, 3 days too late.
Go, Booker!
It's a bit late. Calm down, Makavantu. How did you eventually get it? Because yesterday you were saying it went missing.
So my appeal worked, right? So the driver calls. He's like, "Oh, dude, listening to the show. Like you said something about your jersey. Is it that one?" And then he proceeds to quote the wrong address. And I'm like, "Oh, dude, no, not 61 Catherine, 61 Rivonia." He's like, "Yeah, I took it to that building." I'm like,
how do you get Catherine and Rivonia mixed up? They don't even, there's nothing similar between Catherine and Rivonia.
Yeah, so he's like, "No, I just left it at this guy at the gate." I'm like, "Oh, dude, now I need to call and apologize to all the security guards here because I was like,
exactly. You were busy basically accusing them of theft." Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So we do have a special guest, a surprise guest, being a Tuesday, and I'm very excited about that. I always am. Always curious to know who it is until the very last minute. And we've got the window seats. I'll talk a little bit about my recent sojourn in Europe, which was lots of fun. It was, it was a week. So exactly, 6 days?
Yeah.
And at least a day and a half on either side taken up by travel, which is not my favorite thing.
Yeah, no, who really likes
travel? No one likes it. No one. And, you can say, oh, well, on the way back, I was so happy because there was an empty seat next to me. It's amazing how those little things just make you pleasures. Like, I suddenly felt like I was Croesus with all the gold in the world. I was like, I'm so lucky. Look at me. Empty seat next to me. It's little things. And when you're not thinking about that stuff, you don't pay any attention to it at all.
Yeah.
In terms of whether it impacts your life, makes a difference, any of that shit. It's like when you don't have a Springbok rugby jersey and everyone else does.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the little things. Knock at the door. I think Ryan is getting angry.
Okay, all right. Well, Ryan, let's just do this quickly. Let's get ready for our special guest for today. Go for it. Did he knock at the door?
Yeah, he did.
I don't even think he's there.
Wow. Yo, that was
Phantom.
Okay. Back to scheduled programming, I guess.
No, well, I mean, you've made me now switch Ryan off and switch you back on,
right? So let's go back to that intro. Like, oh, guys, it's Saturday. It's Tuesday. It's Saturday.
Saturday. What the hell's wrong with you? Were you drunk last night? It's Tuesday.
So what had happened was, because I got my jersey a day late, so I celebrated the Boca win last night.
Oh, you idiots. All right, let's do this. Let's try again. Here he is, Ryan, the producer, with our special guest for this morning, and she is none other than Tumi Morake. Hello.
How's it? I came with the World Cup.
How you, gorgeous?
Hi, baby.
Oh, it's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you in person now for a little bit, hey?
Yeah, because you don't love me. You're always like, keep it virtual.
Please.
Put some distance between us.
What do you mean? What nonsense are you talking about? I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? How's it?
You met Bhagavantu.
Yeah, sort of. He ran past me in the cold.
Yeah, because he was late.
Yeah.
Some people arrive on time like you, and some people like him don't.
Young people. They want to show us they are still gazelles. They can just trot.
How are you?
I'm good.
What's been happening?
Nothing interesting. I literally just came here in time to bring that cup officially home.
Did you go and collect it yourself?
No, I tried. Some countries won't let me in.
Is that because of that very messy stuff with the arms dealing and prostitution? And what were the other charges that were all they dropped all the charges, but just in case anyone's interested.
For the record, I wasn't the prostitute. I was
No. You had you were the madam of the brothel.
I must tell you though, it's been nice. The difference between watching the games in the States and watching them here is realizing how much people miss home. Because here you're home already and you're just begging your boys. That side, it's too many emotions. It's too much.
So when did you get back?
2 weeks ago.
So you watched it here?
Yes, I watched it here. But I watched our journey from there. And then you're crying for too many reasons.
But isn't it wild? I mean, I was talking with Bakabantu and Leanne yesterday about this. If you'd said to South Africa 10 years ago, like the thing that's going to bring us together is going to be rugby.
Yeah.
You and I both would have laughed.
Wait, how many years ago?
We were in media 10 years ago.
10 years ago, yes.
Yeah,
we would have believed it.
I don't think so, hey? Rugby was like 95, I know was a big deal to a lot of people, but that had faded.
But 2007?
Yeah, but
I was in Norwood. I'll never forget.
really?
I had
2007, who
random
remembers
white people hugging me.
I don't remember 2007.
I was in Norwood. It was wild. Like, I was like, yeah, you guys can just for no reason. Let's do this.
But also,
we were a colorless rainbow nation, which killed me. I was like, but then it's not a rainbow anymore. There's no color.
colorless.
But that's what they called us, a colorless rainbow nation.
Someone wants to know, you wearing the Irish jersey? No, she's just wearing a jersey.
No, I'm wearing green because I'm still bok crazy. Okay.
Yeah, see, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, so Bakabantu brought his.
Well, now you go too far. Like you're carrying it like I can't wear this, it's too cold, but I must carry it so
Yeah,
they know.
they must know.
And do you love how I'm giving him the accent? That in his head, that's what he's saying to himself.
I know.
He's not going, I'm taking my shirt, huh?
So, okay, let's catch up with you because you
Yes.
have been in the US for a while now.
Yes.
Are you becoming American?
No.
No.
I don't spend enough time on that soil. Like
So how does it work? I mean, are you back and forth the whole time?
So listen, at this rate, so my wallet was stolen and my green card was in there. So I've been using a temp for a while.
Uh-oh.
And I'm at a point where I go, they're never going to give me the real one. They're going, but you're never here. Why do you want it back? I'm hardly ever there.
Because you're always working back here.
I'm always everywhere. So for my first year in the States.
But where are the children?
Hi, those people are self-raising. I told you. Can put them anywhere.
Self-raising.
So no, what happened is my first year in the States, I was in Finland, Dubai, Doha, Tanzania. This year I've been in Kenya, Tanzania, here.
Prostitution's an amazing business.
It really is. It's popping. Hey,
that thing is always nice. I mean,
It's
come on.
international. Yo,
How many mahoshas on your books now?
Please, they are called
Listen,
professional
SWs, sex workers,
No.
ladies of the
Oh,
night.
wow.
Ladies of the night.
In fact, I call them bakers.
Why?
How munna. They sell cook.
Ah, for sure. Sorry, that was
Like
so
a baker.
obvious. Obvious.
Yo.
Chocolate, velvet.
But they're not supposed
vanilla.
to bake in the oven because then he kills the business for 9 months.
No, actually, those are the most popular ones.
Whoa.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Is that what people
that's
are
why
after?
they don't stand on the street corners. Because seriously, true story. Then the other ones beat them up. No, seriously, because then the other
No.
ones beat them up. Yes, because apparently that's prime property. That
Whoa, for real.
yeah, the flavor shifts a little bit.
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
leave it at that because it's too early in the morning. People are listening, going,
No,
"What is
it's
going on right
incredible.
now?" I just woke up. You know, it's like that. I just arrived.
Yeah, we
People are
need to
listening
hear
going,
this.
We just got here. No.
Okay, so you're doing a lot of travel all over the world.
I
And just to be
do.
clear, so everybody knows, she does not actually have a prostitution ring. I mean,
Well,
Disclaimer.
let's just,
but your kids are self-raising, which is
my kids are
fascinating.
self-raising. They're in the States. They're doing really well. And to be honest, if it weren't for them, I'd be back. To be honest, it's just they're thriving there. I'm not. I earn a fraction of what I earn in South Africa.
Yeah.
That's me being real.
No, sure.
There, so it's hard. I like the nice life. So I'm like, guys, America truly
So-
is
so
a very
d-
expensive.
So explain,
downgrade.
because this is what people never ever really understand unless they're doing what you're doing, which is basically you're living in two countries,
Yeah.
sometimes more than two.
And the tax is painful, but continue.
Tax, because you get taxed in both. But how does your house in South Africa differ from the way that you live in America?
Yo.
Because this, so when people say to me, I've had enough of South Africa, and it's not just white people anymore. There's a lot of like
we're all in the
professional
same boat.
professional black people who've moved overseas and
Yes.
the grass is greener, blah, blah, blah. Australia, Canada, blah, blah. America's usually top of everyone's list.
Yeah.
Because you think, well, big market there. I
Yeah.
could really make it. We've got some South Africans who have done very well in that country. So how does your house here differ from your house there? How does your life differ? What kinds of things can you buy and not buy? What irritates you and what makes you happy?
In the words of my middle kid, in South Africa, we're rich. In America, we're poor.
Yo,
Poor, eh?
No, but he calls it poor because I mean, come, let's talk about privileged black kids. You know,
Okay,
poor
so-
for them is
So how big is your house?
they.
oh,
It's
Is it a little apartment?
It's a little apartment.
now she's. You see now she's trying to play humble
I feel bad
because it's really big.
it's not really big, but it's not as big as the South African one.
like she pitched him
No,
Kuku in
hold on.
America.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
now it's not the
Yeah.
project. She's like,
Yeah,
oh, my house in Beverly
exactly.
Hills.
No,
Yeah.
it's humble.
See all those words that you use to try to not sound rich.
No, my kids have to share a room.
They're not sleeping at
Because the other room is a studio.
Oh,
and then there's the bedroom.
a studio and a study.
Okay, so it doesn't sound so bad at all.
No, it's terrible.
Were you
It's
in
small.
DC?
That whole flat, no, we left that place a long time ago. It's too expensive. We're in Atlanta. So the
Okay.
thing is, it's a fraction of, basically here is a double story. There is a story.
Okay. All right.
And we can't have takeaway every single weekend because when it comes off on Uber Eats, you
see it right.
You still see it in rents. I need to change that thing. I need to stop seeing what's happening to me in rents. I need to see it in dollars.
You
It
do,
hurts.
because I'll tell you what now. I've just got back from Europe. I was there for a week. Yes. So when you do the calculation, I became good at it though. So I've worked out, like if you estimate around 20 times, right?
Yeah.
So all I take is I take that number, multiply it by 2 and add a 0.
Yeah.
And then you go, yes.
Yeah.
Would I spend that at home?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't.
Was that sandwich worth it?
I think the food deserts are
Bad.
what kills me though. It's hard to eat well. Like I know anywhere people will say eating healthy is expensive, but there you really should grow your own stuff because you're also not sure what you're eating.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought buffalo wings, guys, and there was a pork warning on it. I was like, why? Why is there a pig in this chicken conversation? Like
Pork
old-
warning in
What, friend? What in the old McDonald's farm
Mm.
is going on here?
Mm.
So yeah, it's insane. But it's good to be back. Humble brag, firstborn is
Yes.
finishing school early, 2 years early.
Oh.
Let's discuss this child's juniors. I'm like,
that
can't
is because in America they do that. They'll advance you. They don't have the rules that we have
be
here.
me. Dog.
You can't get ahead.
Like,
And even Dr. Matthew tried.
No, Dr.
Imagine.
Matt, you tried.
They're like, yeah. So my kid starts college next year. My
So, but
mind
he's
is
been
completely
pushed
blown.
ahead by 2 years,
Yeah.
basically, because he's
So
clever.
basically, he's doing high school and college, and then in a couple of years, he's doing full on college.
Whoa.
Yeah, he better get a nice job and pay you back soon.
Bruh.
Set him up for
I've
life.
already told him what he's getting me. Everybody has an assignment of what I want when I retire. Firstly, I'm retiring early. There, I've made it very clear.
Yes.
Yes,
You've
I'll
been
be-
working very hard your whole life.
Indeed, and I
It's
was poor for a
time.
very long time
Yeah.
when I got it. I was poor for no, I was.
It
my
is
friend.
time, yeah.
It's time I deserve. Where were you in the Europes? Yeah,
Mm.
hey, you,
Well, I think it's slightly better than the dollar, but it's still right up there. It's like
Yeah.
19, 20 or
Mhm.
whatever.
yeah. In Finland, I was spending other people's money, so I never really
Oh.
bothered to check.
What's Finland like?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
So what?
Really?
Yes, and you get naked with people before they even know your surname. That was cool.
Saunas?
Yes. It's
So the
crazy. They won't have a conversation with you, but they'll kit off with you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
insane.
No,
I'm
this
like,
is the Finnish are famous for their saunas.
Yeah,
I think that's where saunas were invented.
That entire Scandinavian country, like
Yeah.
that entire section of the world is just like, yeah, they just want to be in.
they're in the sauna.
Mhm.
But you know what kills? I hope if anyone's been to Finland or is Finnish that's listening, please confirm for me because this was my experience. Literally, they're like, don't talk to me. Not rude, just please leave me alone. Like a hi is okay, but walk away afterwards. Don't
Yeah,
start
yeah,
a
yeah.
conversation. But let's get naked in the sauna.
So it's a different sort of. You're not used to that in South Africa. We would rather sit and talk to someone.
Yeah, we'll get naked later.
Even probably not. Preferably not for most people. It's a lot of people I meet on a daily basis. Yes, so you put me in naked in a sauna with a might not be comfortable. In fact, I would say close to 99% of people I've ever met in my life, I do not ever want to be naked
Have you
in a
not
sauna
been to
with.
gym? Yeah, I've been to the gym.
Yeah,
No,
I've
no.
seen. No,
in the
so
steam
that's
rooms.
so that's also a funny thing about South Africa. I thought about the other day because you go into the sauna or the steam room at my local gym here, and there's old, young, fat, rich,
Mm.
poor, thin,
Mm.
black, white, colored Indian.
Basically, a colorless Rwanda nation.
It's actually the one place, and nobody's phased
No.
by anything.
Nope.
If you want to know, you want to take the temperature of the country,
Go
check
to
out the
saunas.
saunas.
So true.
I'm telling you, because everybody always believes that there's so much like anger and hostility, and the politicians love driving this bullshit, right? And then you see things like the Rugby World Cup, and you go, "Oh, well, everybody's all huggy kissy." They're not. The real measure is like day-to-day stuff.
Yes.
Like I've never ever seen a racist incident at the gym. Like I've never heard like the black guy say to the white guy, "You've had those weights for too long." Everyone's all like
Time to
really
take
nice to
back
each
the
other.
weights.
Yeah, they're like always nice to each other. It's
They
like,
all have
can
the
I
same
help?
struggle.
Can I help you with that? Jesus, the spare tire. That's what everyone's talking about. So you want to know how South Africa really is? Go and check what people do in a shared space like that the last thing anyone's thinking is,
True.
sure, there are a lot of blacks at my gym, eh?
Yeah.
I mean,
not a thing inside.
because it's weird. I've never ever really taken stock of it until you mentioned it now. But that's one of the places where people just get on with it. They've got stuff to do. They smile. They're friendly. No one's got any inhibitions.
Yeah.
Because you just be yourself.
Yeah.
You arrive there, do some exercise, try and make yourself less fat. Carry on with your day.
United in the fight against fat.
Are we?
Are we?
Are we? All right, so listen to this quickly. This is the president. Last night he had a family meeting.
That guy.
You're already on him. Okay, so look here. This is he didn't know that the mic was still on. Now this could have gone very badly.
Yeah,
you know,
hot mic.
You've obviously been in situations where you're recording TV shows or whatever, and then they keep the mic going, so you got to take that thing off before you're going to take a crap, for example, because otherwise they're going to hear all the bathroom noises, right? And I've often heard people in hot mic situations and thought, we've got to destroy that.
Yeah.
Because it's fun and it's a difference between kind of doing stuff, and not that we hide anything from our audience, but there's some stuff that I'll say because I've known Tumi for years and she'll come in and we'll talk and we mention your children's names or whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't want that.
Paternity tests and they're going, yeah, we knew it. And they don't understand the context.
But Cyril this could have gone very wrong, but actually it's kind of harmless, but it is funny because he tells this woman who's standing in the background, he's like, you must stop distracting me. You must be like a statue. You mustn't move at all. I mean, I don't even know if this is interesting or not. But it does give you some insight into, because we don't really know much about him anymore. I mean, he's just become this, where's my iPad? I've lost my iPad.
Our cupcake.
Remember that? So here it is. Take a look. And then we could talk about whether or not this is embarrassing. I don't actually think it's a big deal, but here we go.
Okay. You happy? Now, you kept on moving, disturbing. When you stand there, you must be a statue.
I mean,
Thank you.
I don't think.
Now, Morake, you were moving, the dancing actually. You were literally.
Mogel is out here gyrating while the president is doing presidential things.
But I don't think that's a big thing.
Depends what the dancing was. What if she was twerking there to the president?
Well, she's not doing the reed dance with the titties out.
But for me, it's the tone with which he said.
He's like, because it goes into like, you are distracting me.
Yes, it was the tone for me. It sounded like an uncle.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, distracting.
You're grown up now.
Yes, man. You're big now. Now you're shaking. Yeah, shaking is distracting.
Well, I don't know if you saw that thing in Parliament like a week and a half ago, where Glynnis Breytenbach basically said that the new public protector, Galeka or whatever, that she basically had a very intimate relationship with her former boss at the NPA. NPA. And then all these women in the ANC got like super upset. They're like, you can't say this in this day and age. How can you say this? Meanwhile, we all know that there's a sex economy going on, even in the ANC. We know this.
I love how you go even in the ANC.
Especially in the especially. But like, what do they sit there? We look at them, we go, they're all virgins. Please. Some of these women were, Lindiwe Zulu was out in the bush during the struggle. You really think at like whatever, age 18, she was fighting in like Angola. She famously told her story about how she was in Angola and former Southwest Africa, Namibia. And she's even said there was inappropriate stuff that some of the men were doing and that some of the women, just like with Harvey Weinstein, were using to their advantage to get advancement. So why are we suddenly like pretending what that person said is just so wrong?
With some people, some of this activism was sexually transmitted. We are all adults. Let's adult, man. That's just, come on. In fact, as a party, they do have to admit when we've seen scandals from them, when they decide to tear each other down, it's never from outside. It's always from within, and it's always a sex scandal. Like,
Always.
Can they just own
Always. Yeah, I got to play you the clip though, because the
Intimate.
howling, the screeching, you'd swear that these people had, someone had set them on fire or something.
Hinja wa, hinja ho. That's why. Hinja wa, hinja ho.
Let me see if I can find this for you quickly, because this is pretty hilarious. Oh my God! Here, so that's Glynnis Breytenbach. So she stands and listen. If there's one person who hasn't been taken advantage of in politics, it's Glynnis. All right, no one's sitting there going, "All right, Glynnis."
You don't know people's tastes.
Maybe,
you
actually,
really
you are right. You are right.
Interesting
Yeah.
clubs.
Take a look. There we
Come
go.
to this point without a past. Her very cozy relationship, or some say intimate relationship with her boss, the rather odious Menzi Simelane, led to speedy promotions and her very vocal and active support of his role in the capture of the NPA. One cannot leave her role. You don't have to like it.
Oh, she did, though. Okay.
One cannot leave her role in the Agliotti acquittal out of consideration either.
Point of order.
Having played her part in the destruction of the NPA, Ms.
There's
Taleka
a
moved
point
on.
of order, honorable member.
Honorable Speaker, the honorable member here gives an insinuation of a young woman rising through sexual favors
Yeah, well,
in the
yeah.
job, in this country, in this day.
Yeah.
With what we have gone through, we can't
Amen.
allow this.
Tell her when I
Madam
get.
Yeah.
It
Tell
can't
her.
be allowed
Check that guy.
to even have
Cannot
such
tolerate.
an insinuation in this type of a house with the past we have and what we are going through as women in
Thank
this
you.
country. Thank you.
Thank you.
What a
Thank
bunch
you,
of
honorable members.
hypocrites. Wait,
Honorable
listen to this, the
Breytenbach,
best part.
Will you please withdraw your statement?
I will not.
If you will not, Honorable Breytenbach, you may leave the house.
And she fucks off. So that's a hell of a
Order.
thing. Order, members,
Right.
honorable members.
In
All right.
fairness as well, I feel like we don't all eat with economic reasons behind it. Even if they did have that whole intimate situation, how do we know it's just her appetite?
Yeah.
So I agree. We can't just be shaming women for what they've done. What about the guys who've been eating?
No, I totally agree with you. And just pull that thing closer.
And
Sorry,
also, because guys are not honest, because you
No.
don't get a receipt for what you gave him.
Yeah.
Half the time you don't actually advance.
you're
You
spot
sleep your
on.
way to the middle. Don't laugh. It's
that's
tragic.
disappointing.
It's so sad.
Imagine you sleep your way to the middle. Yes, yes. Because
You
then
still have
after-
to work hard after that day. Yeah, you wake up next to Gwede, you're like, yes, he was a tiger last night. Huh? You're like, you're still unemployed.
And you're like, so about that CEO position, baby, you were good, but not that
You are good.
bad.
But
What did you just grab your stomach?
yeah.
I know. It did so much to me watching him grab his stomach.
Okay,
like,
but because you see, you're actually the perfect person to talk to about this because
Yeah, man.
you aren't woke, but you're sufficiently informed on wokeism to be able to give me like those women are going they're all upset because it's striking quite close to home, obviously.
no, because as women, we can have that conversation if it's just
No,
us.
as
But in
women.
front of the
Like
yes, as women, if
No,
it
but-
was just us in the room, we can have this conversation. But when the minute you say it in front of men, you're giving them the weapon to do that against us because now one of our own has used that against
But
us. You
women-
can't do that.
that's nonsense.
Not in
'cause
this environment.
Women say
Not in this
the most
environment.
terrible
Gareth.
things about women. It's not men.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I've not called a girl a slut since I grew up. Since I was like, because when you're a teenager, you do stupid shit like that, right?
Yeah.
And also you realize like sluts are actually a very important part of your growing up. You got to
Otherwise,
Yeah,
you're a
you gotta-
21-year-old virgin.
on your
I get you.
own.
Yeah.
So when I see this stuff, I think that's like a total red herring. That these men, these predatory men. I mean, I know we've got this huge problem in South Africa, right, with GBV and everything else, which is what she's kind of hinting at. That's the serious part of it.
Yeah.
The not so serious part is that we're suddenly meant to believe that all these women in the ANC are like, pure as the driven snow, which we know is not. So-
Yes, the driven snow.
So when they say that, I mean, I know what she's trying to do is say to young women in the world and in this country who might be watching, this is not how you should operate. But she's hardly saying, that isn't what happened in this particular case. So it's a very complicated conversation, actually. It's not so straightforward. And men are not going around saying, that one's easy, that one's hard, that one's easy, that one's hard, this one's impossible, just leave her alone. It's women who say that shit. Women say horrible things about each other when their back is turned. They're like, it's so nice to see you, Kim. As soon as Kim leaves the room, they're like, that slut.
But you see, the problem is that
it.
now if one of those gentlemen who was in that room that day then gets accused of taking advantage of his position and taking advantage of a woman, then he's going to say, but we had ourselves from themselves, that they do this thing and we mustn't talk about it. They didn't deny it. They said in this environment, we mustn't talk about it. And that's why I say that's inappropriate that she must say that in that space with dudes there. I just think no.
Well, first of all, we need to know, actually.
No, guys.
Yeah, no, she's opened the
it
can
can
of
be
worms.
misconstrued because everything has its own context. I just feel like in the world we live in with what women are being put through, no one should be saying nonsense like that on a microphone. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says.
But
because also
it's not a fact that there are people,
I love
women
that we call
and
it
men.
a fact. How do we call it a fact? Because I'm yet to have a girl come to me and say, these are receipts from when I gave Gareth. I gave Gareth this time, and then that's when I got this position. Then when Gareth left, the new guy came, I gave him also, and that's how I got this position. I mean, honestly, because also if literally so many women are sleeping their way to the top, then so many companies and businesses should be collapsing. So many things should not be working. People know what they're doing.
And kind of, if you look around, they are.
And guys, we have hormones. Stop treating women as if we are these props that walk around waiting for something to compress us. Sometimes we ourselves are thirsty as F, and we will fetch what we want.
Sure.
Stop treating us when it comes to, and that irritates me, when it comes to sexual agency, we are just these things being used. Sometimes we want the thing.
Well, Kamala Harris famously made her way to the top by doing exactly this too. The Vice President of the United States.
If stand-up comedy worked that way, perhaps even me once in a while I would have said, yes, I
But who would you sleep with in
Who's the man in stand-up comedy? Who's the man?
That's where it gets tricky.
Who's the Harvey Weinstein of stand-up comedy?
Where would
There isn't one, is there? Is there a Harvey Weinstein?
I don't know, but I would roofie myself.
See, the problem is for you and for me, like we work for ourselves.
Right?
Are you going to masturbate to the top?
Yes, I risk myself hard. Like, yes, when I come here today, you're looking otherwise.
So funny. Oh my God. All right. Well, listen, I think also expecting Glynnis to like withdraw her statement is just unreasonable. She's not going to.
But I'm going to ask a question.
You don't have to like it.
Right?
What did she say?
Yeah, you don't have to like it. I'm like, well, to do it, you must. I have a question though, and I don't want anyone to be mad at me, but we also live in a very visceral like world, right? So I'm looking at her and I'm listening to her and I'm going, is she a member? Is she? I'm not. Please, I hope this question doesn't get me.
No, go on.
Is she a member?
What does it mean?
LGBTQIA. Ellipsis.
No, I don't
Really?
think so. I don't think so. I really don't know. But I mean, would it make a difference?
No, I was just wondering because I looked at her and I went,
the haircut. Like,
yes.
I think a few people asked that.
There's a haircut I used to stop. I used to get this haircut, this other fade, and I stopped because
Were you being
approached?
people thought and they thought I'm a member, and I was like, no, I'm just an ally. Please. Yeah,
club.
and I was like, yeah, and I was like, listen, the only thing there's been about me is my politics. Otherwise, me and Boris best friends.
Oh.
So yeah.
So the funny thing is that the president of Rwanda, Kagame,
Eh.
he was asked at some conference about like, now that you've created all these opportunities for women in Rwanda, and you've got lots of women in parliament and women on city councils and all over the place, how about the LGBT? And that's some woman from San Francisco asking Paul Kagame in Rwanda. It's always like, really, honey, that's your thing in San Francisco. I promise you in Kigali, they're not sitting around going, the biggest thing that faces us. And that's exactly what he said. He goes, LG what? So she goes,
He just knows the LGs.
The lesbian and gay community. He goes, scrunches his face up. He looks at her. She says, homosexuals. He goes, oh. And then he goes, well, these are not our problems. And I'm doing the accent badly. Hey, these are not our problems. And she's like flawed because it's not.
Yeah.
Like that's a San Francisco, very localized problem. Like you guys are worried about pride parades and like BLM or whatever else. In Kigali, they just had, just a couple of years ago, they had a fucking genocide.
Yeah.
I promise
Exactly.
you, they're not
They have
so worried
bigger
about
problems.
like whether or not someone is sucking dick or doing
Right.
that. It's really not their big deal. They've actually learned the hard way.
That should have been his answer, actually.
hard.
We have bigger problems.
But that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Because so many people
not
think,
our
I
problem.
mean, even forget politics for a second, and this must drive you crazy, but you meet someone and they think their problems, whatever's going on in their world, is just, and obviously that's how we're built. We're designed to immediately think of what we need to sort out here: survival, family, food, warmth, all that kind of stuff, financial security. So you're always thinking about your own problems first. But it's amazing to me how like unaware some people are of themselves, because they'll say things to you like, let's say, for example, you are a big pro-Palestinian,
Right.
Like you're very angry about this thing that's going on in Gaza at the moment. You're very genuinely worried about like kids being killed and houses being bombed and innocent people and that's your thing. But it is thousands of kilometers away.
Right.
And you're having a conversation with someone and she's busy telling you about her kid who's failing school. Not like your brilliant children who get advanced like two years into the future. But let's say this mom's busy talking to you about her kid. And then you start like inserting Palestine into that. It's like,
Right.
come on, man.
Right.
Like we weren't talking about that. And I know that's your thing, but not everybody's as interested.
Right.
It's like when people suddenly bring up their religion or they start being like very intimate and personal. They're like, yeah, my wife and I had a great sex session last night. We tried toys for the first time that we bought at Sexpo. You're like, we were talking about
How did you connect those things?
Yeah.
The others people, you're right.
Because you can't do that. As a comedian, you always have to have like a flow. You know where you're going roughly. I mean, I know you're brilliant at improv and at doing the stuff that you've prepared.
Thanks for that.
You're superb. That's why you've done so well. And you continue to be fantastic. And it's not just all the comedy, but I mean, even the acting and everything else.
Stop
right?
it, Gareth. Now people are going to know definitely something has happened.
Yeah,
it was intimate.
There's
it was
intimate personal relationship. Next thing, Glynnis Breytenbach is going to be saying, "Yo, what's going on with you two, eh?"
Can you withdraw that statement, Gareth?
You might not like it, but I know. But you have to keep a conversation going, even if it's in your head for the audience.
Right.
Some people, they jump here, they go there. It's like they've got ADHD and you've just given them a shot of adrenaline. Bizarre.
Sometimes I want to show you they plugged in. There's this thing of I want to show you I know everything. I know exactly what's going on and I will tell you. It's like when the pandemic was still like at its height and I had to leave so many WhatsApp groups because I was
because everyone was an expert. Everyone was an expert.
Like, my friend, last I checked, you only had a diploma in something completely unrelated to medicine.
Diploma in
marketing. You
marketing.
are. No, guys.
All right, so can we, while we're on this diploma, let's just talk about Dr. Matthew, because this is the thing that has South Africa absorbed. Now, we talk about how, people have different things on their agenda. Everybody's interested in this or that or the other. We've just won the Rugby World Cup. You'd think that would still be the number one trending topic. It isn't in South Africa, okay? I'll go on Twitter now. I just want to see what's going on here. I guarantee you it's not even in the top. Okay, so the new trending topic is 15 December. And you know why, right? Because God, do we love a holiday.
Yep.
So the whole reason Cyril was on last night, which we can't believe we're only getting to it now.
Yeah, like he needs to address this issue.
So we get the 15th because the 16th is meant to be a public holiday, but it's a Saturday, so no bonus.
Yeah.
Because if it falls on a Saturday, we get nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
So he's basically just giving us one of our holidays back. This is so South African.
Yes.
They take with one hand,
they give it with the other,
and they give you less back, and you go, oh, thanks.
Or they give you what was originally yours. Like, yeah.
But the whole situation is typically South African. Him and us. We are such chances.
Yeah, and
we
we're
are
also-
such chances.
Also,
How
we're
are we
so
not
happy
admitting
about
that?
it. Yeah.
Explain.
Can we
explain
admit we are
Let's
chances?
talk about this.
We won the Rugby World Cup. We must get a holiday out of it.
Yeah.
We had a whole Sunday to recover from Saturday, but no,
Yeah.
Monday must be a public holiday. And what are we doing? We're punishing Cyril for being excited. Because I know Cyril was excited and probably had some French wine. And I was like, yeah, we win, it's a holiday. Then we're like, Malone, we won. So, holiday. And Malone was like, yeah, I know, I meant,
Yeah.
it's a holiday from stress. Like,
Yeah. Maybe that's
know?
why she was dancing from all that French wine.
yeah, I feel exactly. So I feel like he was backpedaling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With those cute little feet he likes to stand with. Have you seen when he stands like
Does
a
he
little
stand
toddler?
pigeon toes?
Yes, he
Does he have
does.
pigeon
Yeah,
toes?
he does.
He's like, stop it.
Have you seen his arms? Like his arms are so tiny. His arms like come like.
Does he have short arms?
Yeah, you didn't see this yesterday with his
You
like.
guys have been paying way too much attention to our president's proportions.
You know why? We came from one who gave us so much stress and all his drama. This
Okay,
one
let
gives
me
us
guess.
nothing.
I miss him.
yeah.
You
That
know,
one was action galore.
I
He was
never-
action packed.
I never thought I'd say this, and I know how much damage he's done. And there are going to be people in the comments now who go, "Oh, you son of a bitch!" Just let me tell you, like that guy singing, dancing, women. It's just a party from beginning to end.
Have you seen that video of him just walking in the corridor and then someone is like, I think a reporter harasses him. He's like, Zuma must fall, Zuma must fall. Like this guy is just the best.
He takes nothing seriously.
Yeah.
The minute you saw him, all you heard was, you know,
Yeah.
here comes.
Exactly. That HBO.
Yeah.
That's
Netflix.
exactly
He wasn't
right.
moved.
Game of Thrones is about to start. Meanwhile, in Canada.
Have they done a survey? And
What survey? They got a lot of surveys, but none of them really prove anything.
So-
Which one?
so this is where the people in your chats are going to start attacking me.
Go for
But
it. You love a bit of that.
Because I know your people like these anti-anxiety things. Have you ever done a survey to see the rate at which anti-anxiety pills were being taken during his reign? And the anti-anxiety pills
Must have been much
now?
higher, right?
Like I'm
I think it's higher now,
because
though.
even us who are going to Glynnis and saying, Glynnis, can I have some of your Xanax because
But don't you think?
it's very stressful.
I think we're more stressed economically now.
Yeah.
than we
Yes,
were under
true,
him.
true.
So, and I think for people, you know, you guys both know this. I know this because I've had stages in my life where I also had no money,
Yeah.
zero money. Honestly, you were like, how the hell am I going to find food today at varsity? I'm going to be like, I'm just hungry. You're like, end of the day at varsity, I just need something to eat, anything,
On the bones of your ass. Yeah.
whatever. Right. So there's no feeling that's worse than that. And
Mhm.
right now, there are tons of people in this country feeling that.
Yes.
By the way, if you're listening to us now and you're feeling like that, you're not the only
You're not
one.
the
I'm
only one.
I'm not trying to make you feel better or worse. I can't do anything about that.
hard.
But we understand. Like it's a reality.
It
And
is hard.
you can't stress yourself. Like either you're going to do something about it or things are going to happen for you or they're not. But there's only so much that's in your control at this point because it's very hard for people who can't find jobs.
Yeah.
People, have dependents and people who've just been laid off or whatever. So I'm sympathetic to this. We sit and we laugh a lot on this show, but I know that this is a real thing for people. So
Yeah.
you talk about anti-anxiety medication. Like I've never been anxious or depressed, but about 3-4 Mondays ago, did I have a bad day.
Mm.
You have those days you go, oh, that's what depression feels like. Now I got a small little window into some people's everyday experience.
Yeah.
And for me, it was good because I'm not very empathetic with this
Mm.
stuff. And we've spoken about this
Yeah,
before, Tumi,
yeah.
but it's a dark, dark place, eh? Some people are dwelling there all the time and they're not trying to. They don't want to be there.
But now think about the people who also consume so much of what comes from leadership, what happens in the news and all of that.
Mhm.
What I prefer about the presence of Cyril for now is that you don't have on top of that the feeling that the president doesn't care. I'm not saying that dude didn't care, but the picture he gave was that he didn't care. And for me, I think that's what made it worse for our morale as a country. It felt like a dude who doesn't care. So this one, I'm not saying he cares, but I'm going,
No,
at
he
least he
definitely
cares
doesn't.
enough to put the effort to pretend he does. You know what I mean? I'm going, at least love me enough. And I always say this,
Yeah.
even in relationships, I'm like, ngenga me once in a while, you know, even if you don't have to, even if you don't care what I feel, pretend you do.
But that's why he gave us a holiday. It's just enough
In
to keep us,
inverted commas.
it's just enough to keep us in the relationship.
Yeah.
You know, when your relationship is falling apart and you buy her flowers or something, you think that's going to fix it. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
you
You just do
bastard.
just
I
enough.
tell you've been around that kind of situation.
What do you mean?
I said, you know what I mean? He went, yeah, I know. Just enough. You know, when you buy her a present because you just know you're in shit and you haven't been attentive and you haven't been making any effort and you've been maybe consumed by work, all excuses, but you just know if I don't give her a present,
in trouble.
she's just going to leave. She's just going to go.
We need more guys though, because the Bokazis also did a thing. So we actually do need more of the Springbokazis, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So actually, he must go back to the drawing board.
Do you know what was nice? I only really thought about this yesterday because there was still stuff coming through on social media, and I don't follow a lot of rugby players. And it's not really. I'm not even a rugby fan, but obviously during the World Cup, everybody gets. So I saw all the wives of all the various players posting really lovely stuff with their kids and their husbands. They're so proud of their husbands being part of this winning team, and obviously that's why we're excited too, because we're finally winning something. It's nice for us. But I saw these wives who are all like, again, that cross section of South Africa. And it's just these beautiful little families. Now, I know every family's got their issues, and I'm sure all of them have fights, and there's some problem with this one, and that one's children, or, you know, whatever. But for that moment also, you see, you know, that's the basic building block of society, is that family. And I love seeing that. And it was nice to see all these smiling, proud wives and these husbands who are beaming with joy because now they brought home the bacon in the biggest way possible, right? Not just for their wives and their children,
For the entire country.
for the whole country. And you're like, this is nice. This is so nice to see these supportive women backing these men, because we obviously focused on the athletes the whole time, but that's not the whole story.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, my understanding of the history of rugby is limited, but one thing I've always appreciated is, you know, the old government, the bad old one that we don't talk about. The one thing I did like that they did with sport was it was about building that sense of nation, building that sense of family. Because even when for me, I mean, I remember back in the day when I used to go to the rugby, I remember the one time I got to sit in the box with the Blue Bulls years ago. There's this sense of responsibility for each other and family and unity. You
I don't
understand?
think that was the old government, though.
No,
They
hold on.
don't deserve
They were
any
doing that
credit.
for them. No, they were doing that for them. They were doing it with the focus on the people they gave a damn about. You understand what I'm saying? It was for building a specific nation. And I'm saying that thing has continued, but it's gone beyond.
It's brought
that.
in more people.
People. It wasn't for everyone, it was for them.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the fact that the spirit of that, for me, is a thing that makes rugby powerful for me. When I look at the relationship between the way it's a family, man. You don't feel like anyone is on their own at any point.
That's true. That's true. So I come from the Eastern Cape where rugby is a big part of the culture. That's why you see so many closer people on the Springbok soccer team. Every school plays rugby. I played rugby and cricket, never played soccer.
Yeah.
So it's that.
Right?
Yeah, on the field, we are all like, we called ourselves like these Afrikaans closer names. Like everyone spoke closer. Everyone, when we sang to the games, we guijoed. Everything was just part of like, it was multicultural in the bigger sense.
Well, I just like the fact that we are again finding reasons to not sit and bitch and moan and argue.
Yeah.
Because ESCOM and all that stuff, like even when I say it now, I just get like,
You're like,
load shedding
spine.
is back, Baba.
I don't want to go to that stuff, you know?
But we're united in it.
Yeah.
But that stuff is hard because it feeds into what you were saying now about the things that are draining us, you know?
And
Like-
this is a little injection of some energy. So as we said yesterday, Bagabantu, let's keep it going, right? Like, just keep wearing the green like Tumi's wearing this morning.
Exactly.
And Bagabantu brought his in way too late, but he's here
We're
at least.
fighters. We're
At
fighters,
least.
South Africans. We're fighters.
And I must tell you about my trip just now because we got to do the window seat. And you know, you also have traveled all over, so I want to hear some of your stories too. So it's an opportunity for us to do this. I traveled with the one of our clients, team from Tourvest, who are just doing amazing stuff. I mean,
saw you were with Monet there.
he was at the rugby final.
So you came back and he went.
Listen to this. He was at the semi-final
Right.
against England. Then he flew, met us. Then he went back for the final.
Yeah.
Money's nice, ne?
Yeah, but also these guys, they know travel like you can't believe. It's unbelievable when you're dealing with people who are so filled in. And obviously, they've got all kinds of clients all over the place and they look after them. And they've got this brilliant system that does all your bookings for you. And it's really clever. It's like they're not just doing what travel agents in the old days used to do, actually developing the technology. And that's something we can export, which is amazing.
It's so great, right? But like, is it like we are talking about this? It's not like a holiday, how we picture it, like beach bums and whatnot. You had an itinerary. Yeah, this is like,
okay, so the main purpose of this trip for them was that they were doing a conference and they invited a whole lot of their franchisees. So these are people from small little businesses, big ones, and everyone gets together. We had a couple of sessions where they were, I mean, I wasn't involved in. I was going to ask, like, were you just a tag along? No, so I did do a little talk and I facilitated one of their panel discussions for them, but that was kind of by the by. It wasn't the real reason to be there. We started off in Athens and we ended up in Rome, and it was really only properly like 4.5 days of travel, but amazing, like what you could pack in. Like I did Rome on Thursday. I had half the day. We arrived on the ship in what they call Civitavecchia, which is the little port there. Went through to the hotel, dropped our bags off, got onto a bus, and we're in Rome by maybe 1. Between 1 and 11 o'clock that night. Saw everything that you needed to see. I mean, just had the most amazing. And for me, history. Yeah. It's like heaven. It's like a kid in a candy store.
I can picture this.
Yes.
You were even inspired. Like, we saw the pictures. You were even like in your camera mode, photography.
Yeah. I decided I was a great photographer for about 15 minutes.
Cheating with an iPhone.
Then you lost your patience.
Yeah, you're cheating with an iPhone.
I wasn't cheating. Those are all the actual pictures I took, and I didn't apply. I don't know how to apply filters or edit photos. So
some places are that beautiful. Hey,
it really is. Yeah. I mean, you've traveled also all over the place. You were mentioning Finland earlier. It's a place I've never been
It's like
to.
being in a painting. Literally.
It is, right?
Yeah. It's mind blowing.
Now, here's the question I wanted to ask you, and something we were going to talk about last week, but I also couldn't get online because the signal was so bad on the ship in the middle of the sea. So, what did I think was going to happen? Their cell phone towers sticking out of the sea. Kids who travel, and you'll know this now, being a mom who's got kids who are like global citizens. Right? Yeah. If kids get to see the world early on, and I look at my 2 little nephews, I sometimes think they're a bit spoiled. But then, for example, they're going to go on their first proper international trip now. And the eldest one is turning 10 in January. And the younger one is 2 years younger than him. I think these are the luckiest kids. Because my first overseas trip was probably 20.
Me too, actually.
So I think I would have been way more world-wise, interesting. Like you just broadens your whole experience of the world. And I know this, I don't want to pile more pressure on parents who are already going, school fees, eggs. You were just talking about college for your kids. But now travel, because these kids, you want them to see the world and become like learn another language from somewhere else. And it's I mean, if you do meet people who started traveling at an early age, they just seem to have their wits about them.
True.
They know how to get a taxi in New York. They know how to arrange a train ride through Switzerland. They know what to do if someone steals their wallet. They kind of have an idea of where to go and what to do.
Like a lot of people
who sit around here, they just, and I mean, this was me for most of my child life and my adolescence. You sit around, you're kind of like, what am I going to do if? You get a bit cabin feverish.
Yeah, you're not as open. I think you should. People need to travel. I learned that when I started traveling. But also in South Africa, we are spoiled for choice. If you can't afford to travel, as a parent, I say be more conscious about where you send your kids. If a school has too many people who look exactly like your child and sound like your child, don't send them there. Send them to a place that'll challenge what they think they know.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
There we go.
When we were here, my kids were in Sacred Heart. And what I appreciated about Sacred Heart was that economically, the kids were all on different scales, racially, religious-wise, because you hear Sacred Heart and you go, ooh, Catholic school.
Did you have nuns?
I had, that my son taught me a Muslim prayer, which I've forgotten now, but he used to do Muslim prayers before we ate. He was very interested in Islam because he had Muslim friends, and we didn't block that. We were like, well, if that's your journey, go for it. You know, you have your Hindu kids, you had all kinds of kids, you know, African religion, and the school didn't go, well, we're Catholic and that's what we're shoving down your throat. The Catholic kids were doing catechism, and every other religion. I actually had a time where they'd make like different grades focus on a religion outside of their own.
Yeah.
You have to go research it, do a project on it, and then present it. And for me, I went, this is important. You know, and even their support of there's an after school program. I don't know if they still run it, but that after school program where there's a school that runs after school, and this is for underprivileged kids. I believe most of them were actually foreign nationals as well who are displaced. But this is education that my son would remind me on a Tuesday, I have to pack a sandwich for these kids. And then he got to meet them one time at soccer, and he was like, he doesn't see the difference. He doesn't get it. Why can't they just all come to school at the same time? And there's this whole thing of him to explain that this is what's going on. So long story short, if you are a parent and you're going, yeah, that's great what you're saying, but how do I do it? Challenge yourself to put your child in a school that's diverse.
Yeah, if you can't go to Mecca, you bring Mecca to yourself. So like if you can't go to the world, you bring the world
to you. Go to spots that are mixed.
But also go to Greece. It's a really Acropolis really look good.
It's all good. I remember at school though, I was always interested in all the other religions. I remember there was a kid who came when we were in primary school, probably about what they call it now, grade 3. And this guy came along and he taught us about Judaism. And then the next week there was a guy who came and he taught us about Buddhism. And we learned a little bit about all these things. Now, I'm not saying you have to accept that and change your life and suddenly, become a pilgrim and go, do all this.
Become a monk.
But I always took an interest in these things. And then obviously that manifested later in life where I became a devout atheist and decided to beat everybody on the head with it. But, now I kind of see it all from a little bit more objective a distance. And it's not like it has to be my be all and end all, but I can see if it is someone else's. And I don't have to mess with that.
Don't you feel like everything outside of you stops feeling like a threat? Because sometimes we are threatened by things we don't understand.
So much.
Yeah, because knowledge is power. So the more you know about something, the more you get to understand why people believe in it. But people have this anti-knowledge thing that they hate. Like they hate what they don't understand. And that's the problem. Why don't you challenge yourself to understand?
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, the part of the reason I was so thrilled to go on this trip is because I wouldn't necessarily plan to go to Athens. Yeah. So it's an interesting place. Obviously, there's a lot of history there. But it wouldn't have been a destination for a particular trip. But I had a day, not even a day. It was like a morning there. And I woke up super early, climbed up this hill to the Acropolis, and you stand there and you think, this is the place where Pericles, who was this guy was not a fan of democracy by any means. He was a dictator, but he was there ruling over Athens at its absolute apex. And at that stage, it was probably the most advanced city-state in the world. Now, their big rivals, Sparta, were the big military guys, right? So Spartans were much more about conquest and defense, and they would, if your kid was born with like a foot that was slightly like Cyril's, they'd throw you off the
pit. They'd throw you into the pit.
Yeah, leave you out for the vultures to eat, and so they were much more hardcore. But Athens was about philosophy and thought and wisdom and learning and all of these things. You can still see, and this is what amazes me, you could see buildings that are still standing now, despite all these wars. I mean, the Turks, the Ottomans put a bunch of explosives, put them in the Parthenon for use during World War I. Someone fired a rocket by mistake somewhere, it ignited this whole thing, and blew the Parthenon to pieces. This is a temple that stood for 2,600 years. And then some idiot decides to use it as a gunpowder store, And they're busy they're cranes all over. They're trying to put the blocks in the right place again. But it's just wild to think that in those halls, Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, these are the kind of people who would have walked around there. These are the people who would have walked around there. And I think that's fantastic. It just makes me super excited. And you stand and you think that rock could have been a rock that one of those people touched.
Yep.
It's
Look at
You're
you,
such
you
a nerd.
beaming.
So
He's
excited.
such a nerd. He's
I
beaming.
love
He's
it. It's like coming
That's the
alive."
rock Plato touched.
I mean, it is. It's
I'm
fantastic.
touching Plato.
So
6
you get
degrees of
to-
separation.
So we were staying in two different hotels, two sort of separate parts of the city, and the other guys were all staying in a place called Academia, which is where the academy comes from. And these days we talk about academia being the universities, you know. And this is where Plato founded the academy, which was a place where men would go. They didn't let women learn this stuff then. Women were busy doing needlework or whatever else it was, and raising the kids. But the boys would go to the academy to learn. And it wasn't about, like, now we're going to teach you about what you can do to make a living. Now we're going to teach you about the world. This is where you're going to learn philosophy, the love of wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic.
That's
we don't do that
beautiful.
anymore. No one studies for the love of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
also, you can't get a bank loan if you have a philosophy degree. Am I right? You go to the bank manager, you're like, yes, I need to buy this house. Or your personal banker comes back to you and goes,
What do
what do
you
you
do?"
got as security? I'm a philosopher.
I love.
Not so sure that's going to work.
But you see how we have just really put happiness on the back burner and fulfillment on the back burner.
Yeah.
And I'm appreciating what I'm appreciating in the States, but I'm sure we have schools like that here. I just don't know about them yet. But in the States, so one of my kids just cannot cope with brick and mortar. Ever since the pandemic, he's like, this is what I was born for, virtual school. And he thrives.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah.
All online,
All
perfectly happy,
online,
pays
yeah.
attention, all that stuff.
Can't stand brick and mortar.
Okay.
And so while I was doing my research, I found these schools that actually teach children based on their interests. Like you pay an arm and a leg, but they have rejigged how they do education. There was one school that I did find that isn't expensive, but that's brick and mortar. He didn't want to go there. But literally, so if your child is into aviation, for example, they're going to make sure he reaches all the milestones a child should reach when they're in school.
But with this focus.
But with that focus, if it's dinosaurs, if it's art.
Like if it's math, it will be catered towards aviation and their interests.
Exactly.
And remember when she said she pays an arm and a leg and she said she's poor.
Let's
just context this. Let's just context
Let me tell you
this.
something. My mother taught me, she's like, even if you live on bread and water, if it's because your children are being educated, it is worth it.
Yeah.
My mother broke herself to educate me and my sister. So I have the same kind of passion for my kids. But if I can't afford a little Victoria's Secret underpen, I will take them to cheaper school. There's a line. There's a line. There's a line.
Oh, I love it. How long are you back for now? Are you back for the rest of the year?
Okay.
What's
so
happening?
I didn't buy a return ticket. I bought a one-way ticket.
Oh,
So
for my
here.
mental health. No, because it's
explain
a lot.
this. What do you mean for your mental health? Are you struggling?
What I didn't realize is I've been struggling personally. And I'm only sharing this because I learned recently that a lot of us have been going through this. You know, you're going through it, you think it's just you. So thing is, when the pandemic hit, I was just recovering from everything that had happened to me since 2017. And then when the pandemic hit, I was in the States.
And you're talking about that car accident, which was so
and all of that other
traumatic.
gunk.
And
yeah. And then the pandemic hit, and we're in the States, and thank God, like we are the people we are financially, we were able to live over that time of lockdown, being stuck in a country we didn't intend to be in for that long.
Yeah.
And then I came back and I had to follow my calling. And so I went through this whole initiation into being a sangoma and everything. And then there was now settling back in the States after that year back home, doing what I needed to do. And in all of that, you're taking care of so many people. You've got your 3 kids, you've got your marriage, and you've got your career, and you've got an image to uphold. I had no idea how tired I was. I had no idea how depressed I was until I felt stuck earlier this year. I felt stuck. I was in my pajamas most of the time, even to drop off kids at school. That's when you know it's gone too far. And so the only time I'd leave the house would be to take the kids to school. And then it came to a point where Mpo could take the kids to school, so I never left the house. And then I got myself a life coach because somebody advised me to get a life coach because also I'd spent so much money on therapy. And I was now stuck in a place still. And all I was doing was re-traumatizing myself, going to therapy. And this person said to me the first day was just list what you do in a day. And then they went, how often do you leave the house? First in a day and then in a week. When I saw how much I'm not leaving the house, how little I'm getting out of bed, I was like, I'm in trouble here. And so I was like, I'm going to a place that feeds my soul. I'm going, I don't know for how long. And anybody else can go. And then your children, and then your husband. I go, yeah, the children have 2 parents.
Yeah.
And sometimes one of them breaks and the other has to take the reins. I also have a community who can help support me. So I'm coming to work so I can get my ego back.
Yeah.
And earn the way I'm used to earning while I'm building that side. Look, it's better now than it was last year. Last year, I was just like, I shouldn't be in America. This year, I started getting real work. But I'm still like, yeah, but I'm not on that South African level where I want to be on a dollar level. You know what I mean? So I bought a one-way ticket.
Well, good for you.
I'll go back home when I'm ready.
When you're ready. I think also it's nobody's business how your husband and your kids and that you guys figure out.
No, but as women, you know that if I was a dude saying this, if I was saying this as a dude, no one would go, and then your kids. But the minute you're a woman, that is the first question. Everyone who sees me in the country, well, let me say 80% of the people who've seen me go, and then where are the kids? And it's a question their father doesn't get.
Yeah, that's not right. Okay, so basically you're a disaster.
Right now, I'm a disaster. Send tequila. SOS.
But she came to make mine.
Proper.
No,
but
I'm listen, the fact that you're taking charge and you're sorting stuff out, this is what we all need to do.
Kids deserve happy parents. I don't know about people without kids. I'm speaking as a parent. Children deserve happy parents. Do not be afraid to choose you, because you're going to be able to give your kids so much more of you. If you choose you, repair you, and give them the best of you.
Yeah, because a cup that's all cracked is not going to be able to hold the love that you need to pass on to someone else, right?
Like self-awareness was really key here. Like, and I'm amazed by your self-awareness. It's like that thing they say on a plane, Gareth, where put on your oxygen mask first before you help someone else, because otherwise there's 2 people dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And on that lovely note, we're going to have to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away. Tumi Morake is here. Some fantastic conversation. You could join in on it in the comment section on YouTube. Also send us an email if you want to. That's gareth@cliffcentral.com, and tell us what's up with you. We want to hear from you. All right. All of that and more on the way in the next hour. Don't go anywhere.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
I think it's important for people to understand why. I mean, there's many reasons why you'd want to buy a locally produced car. But off the top of your head, I do have a list, of course, but off the top of your head, what are some of the reasons why anyone should consider buying a locally produced car before they go to, any other model that's produced elsewhere in the world?
Well, I think it's built by the first reason. It's built by South Africans for South Africans.
Yeah,
I think for me, that's the primary reason, is the more you support locally built stuff, locally manufactured stuff, right? The more you support our local economy, the more you benefit in the end, whether you're part of the automotive industry or not.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
To our valued partners, thank you for being part of our journey in leveraging the power of podcasting as part of your marketing mix. The explosion of podcasts and vidcasts is more than a trend. It's a meaningful way to create lasting connection. CliffCentral.com is a unique hybrid of live streaming and podcasting that brings valuable experience and insight. If your business isn't doing podcasting, contact us at contact@cliffcentral.com. All right. We are ready to go. It is Tuesday morning, cliffcentral.com. We've got the beautiful Tumi Morake here, and she's just told us about like how she's pouring out her soul, and now she's worried that people are messaging her from the family saying, stop talking about this. You're being too honest. We love it. Sanela is really rubbing it in. Tumi looks gloomy. How dare you? It's the weather that's gloomy. It's not Tumi.
Sleepy.
Captain Cook says, wow, Tumi, you're bringing back the depressed comedians. I'm here for it.
I'm not a depressed comedian.
No, but you know what? So our audience has got this thing. For some reason, maybe it's because I genuinely love comedians. Right?
Yeah.
They make me happy. I love them. They're big thinkers because they have to make people think, so they have to pay attention to what's going on in the world. You know all this stuff.
Yes.
Every comedian we've ever brought onto the show. Am I right?
Well, except for Trevor. Trevor was here, like he just told me to
Gumby.
shreds. Yeah, Gumby. Yeah, he was just there. He's like,
Nobody told us about his depression.
Yeah, he told us about rehab and talking to the cup. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
But every one of them comes and then they open up about their mental health.
I was just stuck in a place, bruh, and I'm saying,
I'm so glad
that's
you
what's
said
up.
that, because there are lots of people, as you said, who are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why it's cool. But it is funny because now whenever we have a comedian, the audience is like, all right,
Okay,
T minus 20 to some talk about depression.
Depression, anxiety.
It's a depression, though. All
Hey,
are depressed or stuck.
listen.
Being stuck, being depressed.
The big story that no one's talking about when it comes to depression is that these SSRIs, and we spoke about this with Dr. Hanan, and I've spoken with Prof. Zabo about it. He's the psychiatrist, Hanan's our psychologist. We need both on this show. They both said to me, this is a much bigger story than people are talking about.
Yeah.
Basically, these pharmaceutical companies have been telling us that these SSRIs are helping put serotonin back in, which was meant to cure depression. It's done nothing of the sort. So potentially, and I mean, this is not true for all the drugs, and I've got to be careful what I say here because I don't really, there's not my territory, right? And I don't have a degree in this. But as I understand it, there is now very little evidence to support many of these drugs being efficacious in any way whatsoever. In other words, people have been popping these antidepressants. They've been doing nothing for them on a physiological level.
Ew.
So it's either all, what do they call it? Placebo effect.
Yeah.
Or it's like people are just, they're hooked on the fact that they need help. So they're getting it from these things and it makes them believe that it's somehow
that's the placebo effect in practice. So like, so what they discovered actually, it is that the pills do have serotonin, but there's no proof that your body does uptake the serotonin. So it's just flowing.
But there's also no
just
proof that the
peeing it out.
serotonin changes the depression.
Exactly. There's no proof,
Which is interesting.
Exactly.
So I wonder how many people, if you think about it, and that's really where these pharmaceutical companies got to watch out, man, because people are spending money they don't have on pills that they think they need, but they don't. And I mean, how many new billionaires were created in the pharmaceutical industry in the last 5 years? I think it's something like 20 or 30 or billion-dollar billionaires have been created. So I think there's going to be a little bit of kickback eventually on this.
But like, obviously it'll be a fine and then they'll pay it. And then
they do that all the time.
They do that all the time.
Yeah.
My dumbest thing that got me moving, to be honest, that actually started making me feel better.
What?
Before I even got the idea of I'm going to go home and go do some wild shit, was I stopped eating white bread. The minute I got flour out of my life, I kid you not. This was advice I was given by a friend who suffers from bipolar disorder. And she was like, just cut out all that flour and whatever you're eating, pasta, all of that.
Gluten.
And I was like, oh, really? Come the F on. And she's like, do it for a week and then I swear I'll leave you alone. 3 days tops. I was seeing the difference. And then she was like, just start moving. And I just started moving.
Wow.
And it makes a difference. Now I just walk. I walk, bruh. And I'm telling you now, only a matter of time before I start jogging, I believe. And it's reminding me that, yeah, actually, I do remember there was someone on, was it Instagram? You know, Instagram sometimes there's wisdom. And somebody was like, the cheapest cure to depression is exercise. I was like, I am talking nonsense.
Well, Dr. Hanan is on about this every Monday.
Now I'm like, yeah.
Just go to the gym.
He says start acting, and then the feelings will come after.
Exactly.
You don't.
So it's like faking it. Because I know at some point it catches you, you're like, oh, I am there. Yeah, right.
Faking it till you make it. And he says eventually what you do is you create these circuits in your head that start positively reinforcing things. So you first have to behave like someone who is worthy of feeling better.
Yeah.
True.
Exactly.
So look after your body. Look after
Dr.
your
Matthew was
diet.
onto something. Like
Dr. Matthew.
Great medical advice, Dr. Matthew. Pretend to be a doctor, and then one day you'll be a doctor.
By osmosis.
Gareth approves. Heard it here first.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Heard it here first.
So why are we so upset with? Here's the thing, because we put education on such a level in this country. Like you were talking about it with your kids just now, right? And we see every January, and now we've got matric exams. They've just started, and it's so important for kids to get good results in matrics. They can go to university, get a degree, and then what? You know,
no, we don't think that far.
In their
we don't
pillow.
think that far.
In the last census, they said something close to 80,000 people who have degrees are unemployed in this country.
Yeah,
80,000.
And the census was not like really great.
It wasn't great. A lot of people didn't let them in. Exactly. So if that's true, then we've got this obsession, and I think it comes from, just years of 2 tiers of education in this country, which was a major problem because people always thought they were getting fucked, and they were by the government. Then it was this stuff about, well, education will be your salvation.
I was going to say it was the switch from like we were deprived education for so long, and then all of a sudden education was like it will open doors and whatnot. And then all we saw at that time was the black middle class was degree. You stay in the suburbs. So then you have that correlation. Once you get the education, it equals success. But people forgot to put in the work.
But here's the problem, is that now we've got this obsession with education, which is not always a bad thing because, I mean, even though we have the most expensive per capita education department in the world, we produce the worst results. Like we have the least literate, least numerate.
That's why we keep changing the pass standards. That's why you don't need to pass math.
So there's that. Now. But then there's this amazing reaction to this Dr. Matthew. And you saw it also whenever they find out that this politician doesn't have a degree, or like we've suddenly decided in all of our collective wisdom, which is not that much, that we are now going to pile on to anyone who has been able to fake it.
Yes.
Until they make it.
And actually help people.
Who knows? I mean, like, I'm not saying that it's a good
not
thing.
Not this guy.
No, sure. But I'm not saying that you should be going around pretending to be a doctor or an engineer, because that costs lives.
It does.
But there are certain things that people do in other parts of the world where they are faking it till they make it. You ask a Nigerian to do anything, they can do it.
No.
Okay, let's not go as far as Nigeria yet.
Americans.
How many years ago? No, I want to keep this at home for now.
Okay, go.
How many years ago where there was that lawyer who got people off? And then they discovered afterwards he actually wasn't a qualified lawyer at all.
You just watched Suits too many.
No, literally, I'm going to look for it. It happened.
No, you're right.
I promise you. And they went and retried all of his trials. And I was like, wait, if this guy who wasn't a lawyer beat all of those other lawyers, those guys should be investigated. And these people who he kept out of jail should not be put in jail because he fought fair and square.
Yes.
The judges and magistrates he stood in front of.
And he presented the case. He learned the stuff.
He should get an honorary. You know the way we give these politicians honorary doctorates and honorary.
But in his
he
case,
an honorary doctorate because he worked and proved.
In his case, if he only said, "I am not a lawyer, but I will represent these people," sure. But he lied.
No,
he won.
No, we get it. So
he won.
Yeah, and this is that
against the legit guys.
This is a guy in Kenya. The 26 court battles that he won now. Recently.
There's another one.
This is a new one, undefeated. And then everybody lost their shit about him too. So I'm just trying to understand why the Dr. Matthew story has been the biggest story while Israel Gaza's going on, while Rugby World Cup's going on, while Cyril's announcing holidays. Only now has Dr. Matthew fallen down the list. He was number one, the most important subject to all and listen, these are not the people of South Africa, but it's 3 million odd people on Twitter who are very vocal.
Yeah.
Sure.
Why is Dr. Matthew so interesting to them? And I think it has to do with this worldview about education being everything being shattered. That's why people are so pissed off with him. Not because he's fake doctoring and wearing a stethoscope and, prancing around trying to tell people how to look after themselves. Frankly, there are lots of quacks on the internet. There are plenty of bullshit artists on the internet. There are people who pretend they're comedians and models and Instagram this and Instagram. They're all bullshitters.
Yeah.
90% of them are bullshitters.
Yeah.
The reason this guy pisses people off to the degree that he does is because he's shattering their worldview.
Yes.
They reckon, if I get that degree, because this is what they've been told by people they trust and people they love and people they look up to. If you just get that degree, you will have a good life. And life's not so simple. And along comes Dr. Matthew with his fake doctor and his fake stethoscope and his fake. He even says to the police, "That's not my stethoscope." I mean, he's not even a good liar, but he should be left alone now. It's not a big story, but the reason it's a big story in this country, because it took me a while to figure this out. I was like, why is this thing so interesting to people? And it's because education has been raised to almost a religious fervor.
Yeah.
In South Africa, universities charge outrageous fees for people to go and study there. They walk out with a piece of paper that they hope will be everything, and it ends up leaving them as unemployed as they were before they went into university. And now the disappointment sets in, and some fake guy comes along proving all of that, and they cross with him instead of being cross with the system.
Yeah.
But also, it's a thing that they can actually hold Dr. Matthew accountable. In South Africa, we have a very big.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so he's built this image on. So
we want to see him punished, like we would like to see all the politicians,
and we can actually affect his life because it's social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can tear him down. Yes. We have the police crowding around him. He's basically bursting into tears, and we get like some Schadenfreude out of this that we're like, oh well. If they're doing that to him, someone's getting their comeuppance.
Exactly.
Doctors are getting a bad rep.
Yeah.
Poor Dr. Nandipa.
Yeah.
And then the other one before
Dr.
here. Who was that other one before here? And then there's the one with the surgeries. This is bad, guys. This is...
Listen, what's happening with the Dr. Nandipa and Thabo Bester thing? Have you got any updates?
I did not follow this story at all. Like, all I know. No, me. I thought it was a distraction. I was not going to be distracted, guys. I was not going to be distracted. So I was looking at everything else except for this.
Apparently, this Dr. Matthew story has even made the news in America.
Yeah.
So this guy, Matthew, he really wants to be a doctor. And he's like some kind of genius prodigy. He moves through school really fast, skipping the 4th grade, the 6th grade, and the 8th grade. He gets his high school diploma at 16. He gets a medical degree from WITS when he's 21. And he becomes one of the youngest doctors to ever come out of South Africa, Dr. Matthew.
And then became a working doctor.
Then he starts a TikTok account under the name Dr. Matthew, and he gets really popular. He also starts interning at Helen Joseph Medical Center, where he films a bunch of his TikToks. He even starts his own pharmaceutical brand, selling weight loss pills and other supplements to his TikTok fans. Needless to say, things are going really well for him. Until one day, people start to notice. Some things aren't adding up. Like, there's no mention of a Dr. Matthew on the Health Professions Council website. And Dr. Matthew, he's just like, oh, that's because Dr. Matthew's not my real name. It's a stage name, like Madonna. My real name is this, Sonali. And around that time, his name, Dr. Matthew, it starts trending on Twitter. Why? Well, a bunch of skeptical people had gotten together and they start analyzing everything about him. Every TikTok he's published, every record they could find, and they start sharing these results on Twitter. Then, by no coincidence, I'm sure, the Gauteng Department of Health puts out an official statement saying, nah, he's not a real doctor. Then, the Health Professions Council put out a statement saying he isn't registered with them. WITS University, where he says he went to med school, even they put out a statement. Even Cambridge International put out a statement saying he didn't get his high school diploma from us. And not only is there no record of him being a genius prodigy who skipped a bunch of grades, he had actually been referred to a school for people with special education needs. And his TikTok fans were shocked. Had they really been listening to a fake doctor this whole time? So they start scrutinizing those weight loss pills he was selling. Because, maybe those are fake too. And they found the actual barcode on the pills, and I'm not making this up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life!
And at this point, people are like, Jesus, dude, is his f***ing name even real? Allegedly? No, the name he was giving everyone, Sonali, is the name of a real doctor who works at a completely different hospital. And Matthew had allegedly been passing himself off as that doctor so he could get access to Helen Joseph Medical Center where he would film his TikToks and stuff. Then, suddenly, TikTok bans his account. But that's not the end of Dr. Matthew. A few days later, he's back in business with a new account.
I am mentally prepared now to address some of the allegations that were made about me.
And he is sticking to his story. According to him, the whole thing is just a big misunderstanding, and he's gonna prove it. He posts a screenshot of his conversation with the Department of Health, which proves his side, but the Department of Health sees the screenshot and tweets about it, says it's fake. Then he posts email conversations he had with Cambridge International, proving that that's where he got his high school diploma. But people quickly point out something weird about those, because he emailed them on October 13th of this year, and they replied to him on October 11th. Let me repeat that. He emailed the school on October 13th, and they wrote him back on October 11th.
Great Scott!
Suggesting that those emails are fake too. Then he makes a video unveiling his diploma from Wits University.
Where should I put it?
And to his credit, it does look like a standard diploma from
Oh
Wits.
my God.
But people quickly point out, for $300, you can get the same thing from a site literally called phonydiplomas.com. And since all this went down, the health department has opened a criminal case against Dr. Matthew. And Dr. Matthew, well, he's still on TikTok, and he's still claiming he's not lying. His possibly fake...
All right, okay. Listen, I'm going to phonydiplomas.com. I'm going to print.
Like
yes,
just your entire wall.
Tumi, I'm going to fill my one wall. And every time I do any like YouTube stuff, I'm like, oh, well, behind me, you can see my various doctorates. Such bullshit. It really
We
is.
should all just get like phony diplomas
I
for
think
next
so.
week.
What the
Yeah,
hell?
like
phonydiplomas.com. How's that, though? He gets the email date for the reply before he'd actually sent
Yeah.
the email.
Because they knew
Back
he
to
was
the
going to write.
future.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to the future. Look at Tumi's face. She's like,
She's like, makes
can't
sense.
believe this bullshit happened.
No, like it's just wow.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that he's still sticking to his guns, and you know when
Well,
they say
he's
commit,
stuck-
when they say commit, guys. You know,
he stuck to them.
Commit.
Even there, he's like,
Well, it's called sunken cost syndrome,
Yeah.
right? So what happens is that you're in so deep. And he obviously was making money.
yeah.
He was growing his influence, and he thought for a while there that this is his life. This is how he's going to make lots of money and have a very happy and successful life. And
Sure.
it's like you got to admire the chutzpah, right?
like, that's a real South African, like,
That's-
yes, right there.
You got to
Chutzpah.
admire, like, even if you hate the guy. And I was like following this at an arm's length because I couldn't have given a shit. But then I suddenly realized why it's important to people. And you have to, even if you hate what he's doing and you don't like bullshitters, none of us do. I mean, there's motivational speakers who I look at and I go, how are people falling for this? But this, you've got to admire the guy for having the balls to like pretend he's a doctor
a whole doogie house.
and go online where millions of people are going to see you. I mean, I know if I talk shit on this show, they're going to
People are
tear me
fact
to
checking.
pieces.
Yeah.
Right? And they try doing 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, where people might just find some line and go, "Oh, you see there, that's stupid. What an ignorant son of a bitch this Gareth is." This guy's doing it.
He's brave.
He's brave and brazen,
Yeah.
and they should hire him as like I don't know, go around and do.
A politician.
Well, yeah, that would always be the best place for bullshitters to go.
No, because he'll make it better. He'll be more convincing. He'll teach them how to
You
sell
think
it.
so?
Yeah, he'll teach
He'll
them.
actually be a
Because now we
better
can see
politician.
through them now.
Yeah.
Like this guy, I don't understand. So because you know how we have are they called the ex-detectives now? Because they used to call them Twitter detectives.
Yeah.
Now it's ex. Yeah, those guys. They will find you, Gareth. Like that's what I'm saying. It's really brave because we know that if these guys decide to investigate you, they will tell you what you had for breakfast, what your current address is, what it used to be. Do you know what I mean?
I've never forgotten about that show that you and I wanted to do, where we would go and find the
Friend.
trolls
Yes.
and go into the trolls' houses
Find
with
their
cameras.
IP addresses.
You remember that?
Yeah.
To me, we could make so much money off
Yeah,
that
you
show.
should.
Bruh.
In America.
Should be easier now because you can
Set it
track
up.
people.
Set it up in the US. I'll come over. I'll help put the whole thing
But
together
those
with
guys, Those guys and their
Yes.
guns. I don't know. The only reason I
Yeah.
don't want to do it there is because I don't want now we take someone somewhere next thing.
Yeah, stand your ground laws. Yeah,
Those guys.
you. Wasn't
you
there
know,
a shooting in Maine? Just
that's why the
this,
flag is
weekend?
flying half mast at the embassy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I hate that
Jesus.
stuff, bro.
Yeah, it's horrible. Again, what no one's talking about there, by the way, is that a lot of these people who shoot up schools, including the original two, Klebold and Harris from Columbine. Remember Columbine?
Remember Columbine.
Yeah, they're all on antidepressants. Just saying.
Really?
Go and look. Don't take my word for it. Take a look. No one's talking about it, but it's a thing.
Yeah, Big Pharma's going to come after you.
There you go.
Yes, I'm finished now.
Gareth is going to disappear. We don't know what happened.
I'm just going to disappear. It's going to be over. But it's if it's happening, and this is something that the whole world thinks is atrocious, we should be doing so. Ask the questions. If the questions uncover uncomfortable truths, so be it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are we going to keep on having kids shot at schools? Yes, sis. That's not an option. It's not a good option. It's not something we should be okay with.
Yeah, but the world is something else, Nick. I feel like the world right now is an overstimulant. There's too much going on. It's too much.
Just look at the weather this
doing
week.
Too much.
Look at the weather this week.
I was asking, what did you guys do? What did you guys do?
We won the World Cup.
Why is the weather so angry? It just flipped on us.
It was so hot last week, apparently. I was away, but they told me it was a heat wave.
Yeah.
Like 38, 39, 40 degrees in places. Now it's back to
10, 9.
I was like, I checked the month. For me, I'm going to check. It is October. The October I know. Yeah, you're like, this is the October I know. This is my country. I know my country. So I came here and I was like, no, I woke up. What is going on? It's very Atlanta. Because
when I came from winter,
the first thing I celebrated was, yes, I'm going to warmth. And then
you got here for this.
Hey, Chobeka was like, "You're here for what? Like, why are we so mad?"
No, you don't need
We actually thought about this, Gareth. I kept on predicting that the weather.
Please.
You see, why are you getting angry?
It's a climate change in action.
But he thinks he's Nostradamus. He's like, the end is nigh. He walks around
the end
with a
of
bell.
What though?
The end is nigh. That's what he does. He walks around like
Day one. I said this country and this world is ending, guys. And I keep being proven right, guys.
I said to him yesterday, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
I've been right 3 times now.
Amen. But okay, how about this? What if the world is changing because that's what the world does?
Exactly.
It evolves.
Exactly.
That's why it's not global warming, it's climate change.
And it's not about humans. Earth is not some sentient living thing that's always well.
But
if we do this,
Gareth.
what about the humans? Earth's not worried about the humans. And of course, we're throwing shit into the oceans and we're busy
But
burning
what about the
stuff.
turtles in the ocean? What about the barrier reef? What about the Amazon that's burning?
What about sunshine?
Is it the reason why
What about rain?
Is this a reason why we drink smoothies? You must be against the clock because this thing is melting. You're like, we're just going to finish first the straw and the drink.
I want to ask you too about something that this is really something I'm very worried about. I read this article about Gen Z. That's your people now, Bagabantu. Because Tumi and I are way too old to be considered. Are we even Gen X or millennials? Gen X.
I don't know. I just know we were born in the 1900s, my friend.
1900s.
1900s, my friend.
When people talk like that, I think of like very, very old people in black and white photographs wearing those bow ties and top hats and shit. So, all right. Here's the thing. I read this article. I'll post the link up a little bit later about how Gen Z, this is in the New York Times or one of those big newspapers, right? Gen Z is the hardest to work with. Employers have been surveyed, say out of all the people in their company, the ones who give them all the shit are the Gen Zs. Very entitled. Now, again, these are obviously like massive generalizations. So I don't want anyone to get all uptight and think it's all about them. I'm not talking about you. We're talking about...
Like, watch all the Gen Zs dislike.
Exactly. So what they said is these Gen Zs, that's people born after...
Is it from 2000?
I think it's 2000. Could even be a bit later.
Yeah, I think
2000,
it's 2000.
maybe, somewhere around there.
Because
we must look
the
up
ones
the
now
age.
are called Gen Zillennials.
No, well, as one of the comedians said, Gen Z, she goes, my children are Gen Z. And that's the last letter in the alphabet. So they're the last ones. There's no generations coming after that. Okay, so we often talk about Gen Z and Gen X and millennials and all this shit. So apparently it starts loosely mid to late 1990s as starting birth years and the early 2010s as the ending birth years. Okay, so apparently these people in this generation, they don't like to work. I think work is a massive imposition on them. It's like, why must I work? Why must I suffer?
Which explains the kind of work that has been invented since they started.
Right,
working.
exactly. I mean, Tumi's like getting up and going onto stages day and night. She's busy working on TV productions and movies and God knows what else. But it's work. And you never for a minute went, I don't need to work. You're like, this is what I do. This is part of my life. In fact, it's a huge part of my life. Anyway,
like she came back from America to work.
To work even.
So they don't like working. They expect to be made CEO within the first 3 months of their being in the business. They want to be paid way more than they are worth. They certainly don't want to have to intern or study under someone, learn anything. Now, this is not true, again, for any...
I feel like I'm sleeping on my potential. Like, Gareth, why haven't you made me CEO?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So apparently bosses are now actively, in a soft way, because they can't say that they're actually not going to hire these people, but they've decided they're not hiring them. So quietly, what's happening is that more and more Gen Z kids are having to stay at their parents' houses well into their 30s. Well, they will be eventually. I mean, they're now in their late 20s.
Yeah.
So they're staying at home because they can't afford to move out. No one wants to hire them because they're a pain in the ass. They want their pronouns on their business cards. They want all this shit. They want their pronouns on their business cards. They are super like political about everything. And you're in a factory where you make cups. Make cups. If you don't want to work at the factory and make cups, go and join an activist organization.
But why am I making blue cups? Why am I not making rainbow colored cups?
And why is the handle not considering the shape of other people's hands? Why are you boxing me? Why must it be on the left? Why do I have to hold it?
Polydactyls who have an extra finger.
My
why is the cup so small for them with their 6 fingers, their giant, monstrous, deformed hands? Why can't they have a cup?
And why is it called a cup?
Yeah. See, suddenly your whole factory.
Why is it not a puck?
Suddenly you're not making thousands of cups that you could sell to drunk college students. Suddenly you're making 7,000 different kinds of cup that all cost you so much because the molds are nice. So they have no idea of expense, no idea of how the world really works.
And you must put a disclaimer that they have nothing to do with colonialism.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Also, they child free, like what, labor free, like they weren't made in China.
They're ethically sourced.
Yeah.
They were made
the materials,
ethically sourced materials.
Yeah, and they were organic, and they didn't hurt animals. They're vegan also.
Dude, guys, I had my 9-year-old literally say, "Oh, ma'am, I have social anxiety." Like, you're 9. You don't have social anxiety. You're shy. You're shy.
Social anxiety. They're teaching them this.
You
nonsense.
see, and I'm going, when you go on TikTok now, I'm monitoring your TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to certain places, I call them like, you want me to shut down your phone? No? Okay. Get off TikTok. Because I feel like they watch that generation and then they come and spew that BS.
Yeah, they do.
And it's a little bit much.
But how are they going to get jobs? How are they going to provide value to society?
I'm glad they can't get jobs, though, to be honest, because going back to the no, hear me out. Going back to the education conversation, I feel like as a continent, we're a continent that needs entrepreneurs, and as a country, we're a country that needs entrepreneurs. We don't need people working for other people. We don't need people in a rat race. We don't need gophers. We need creators, not in a TikTok sense. We need people who are going to grow an economy that's self-sustaining. So I'm glad they can't be hired. I'm hoping it means the evolution then becomes that they begin to honestly find other ways to support this economy and create something that sticks for the continent. There's that side of it. For me, I'm just saying, because I look at my kids and immediately listening to you speak, I'm going, yeah, even mine, they're not children, but I can tell you now who's going to be hired, who's going to have to start their own job. Because even, on a personal level as well, to be honest, when I've had to argue or disagree with a Gen Z person, there's something about how they hear you or don't hear you. There's a filter that you cannot get through, even when you try and point it out to them.
Like, give me an example.
Like trying to tell Dr. Matthew he's not a doctor.
Yeah, but it's almost a thing of, Gareth, you're telling me I didn't do this thing. And I'm saying to you, if this thing needed to be done, it was that important, you should have told me twice I have to do it. And I go, but it's in your job description. Yeah, but you didn't make it important enough for me to feel like I should prioritize it.
It's like an accountability transfer.
Yes.
And this is also, and you can't just blame Gen Z for this, actually, because I think all of the generations have been slowly handing off responsibility. government should take care of this. Government should take care of that. My boss should take care of this. My company I work for should pay for that. I should be getting this in my lunch break. And it comes from like these first world places where people are looked after. They're infantilized, actually. They're like, I'm hungry.
Yeah, it's nanny state vibes, which is why it's also interesting that they don't move out of their parents' home, not out of necessity, but also it's very comfortable there, Gareth. It's very comfortable to say, Mom, can you make me lunch? Someone is responsible for the groceries.
What kind of a mom are you if you've got a 35-year-old sitting in the house going, Mom, why you eat peanut butter sandwich?
But like,
caught up my
but
meat.
also you're like type of mom. You're like, hey, buddy, like let me help you there. Like, let me cut
I
your.
think you're right. It is our fault.
Yeah,
we are so traumatized. We over protected our kids, and maybe just
there's a lot of that
the
going
apron
on.
strings. And
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on,
Mm.
and it's not, you say over traumatized, but I think parents are always in every generation they're trying to give their kids what they didn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Always.
but
That's
we make
normal.
our kids land with their asses in the butter. I don't think our parents, yes, they wanted better for us, but they made us feel like we have to work for it. Whereas with our kids, think about it. Think about the language we've used with the Gen Zs when they were in school, because this thing started with them, where we didn't say they failed, we said they did not achieve. That's where that nonsense started.
Yes,
achieve.
you should
did
say
not
fail.
achieve. Say fail, because when you knew you failed, you're like, yo, what am I? We must tell them straight, you failed. This is when kids stop being slow, and this is where parents are going to be like, you said this, you're a mother. But this is where if your kid just did something and they were not, you like, apply yourself. Now it's not apply yourself.
Slippery
Let
Pickle
me give
says
you ADD medicine. No.
you can't mess with a Gen Z's truth.
Yeah,
and they've got a sense of personal truth. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what facts you throw at them. Their truth is all that matters. Yeah, because they've been watching bullshit on television for years, and on TikTok now.
This thing about Marx reminds me, like in our high school, you used to get a big like skeleton, red skeleton on your thing. Khafar. It was written Khafar. Like that's June. Khafar. So that like when it comes December, you failed.
Yeah.
Because we told
they
you.
really
We
have a
told
stamp?
you. A stamp. Red stamp, skeleton, Khafar.
You see, that's how you
So
teach
you can't
people.
even hide it from your parents. Like, nah, Mom, like I'm going to yeah, they said Khafar.
Fractions. Guys, we all did fractions. Do you know why education is a problem in this country? You did fractions, ne? You know that if you take a second, you divide it into 4. Each quarter is even. If you have half, that is half of the circle. If you have 3 quarters, that is most of the circle. If you have a quarter, you have very little of the circle. You are telling a child 33% is a pass. You've passed. Of that circle, that little bit you've got is an achievement.
No, I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
I grew up with parents, you come showing off 95%, they say, where were you 5% of the time?
Yeah,
I see
exactly.
95.
Yeah,
Where were you
you?
this 5%? We create monsters and then we're surprised.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything is a
buddy
trauma.
generation.
Like sometimes just go, baby, you actually, you can be sad. Do you
Like,
know also why we're
it's
also
your
so
fault.
overdrugged? It's because nobody ever lets you be sad, guys.
Well, who decided, and since, mental health is a subject that keeps coming up, who decided that we're meant to be happy all the time?
Exactly. How is that even normal?
Who thought that was normal? Like all these, who's bouncing off the walls the whole time because they're happy? I mean, coke addicts.
That's why we get
That's
tired.
it.
You see why? Then you
Yeah.
end up depressed because your body started going.
I think it's,
cannot
you know
happy
what I
anymore.
blame is there's children's programs we watched as kids. All these kids are like super happy all the time.
Happy clappy.
Welcome to KTV. I was like, you can't be that happy. I got homework. You guys, we are here to sing a song with you. And it's like, that's not how it's meant to be. I want to see some depressed children on television.
In fact, this is when we must give flowers where they are due. You
Yes.
go to Winnie the Pooh and
Yes.
you say, Winnie, you are or represented the people.
It's like he was like, I don't want to do this with you.
He always, thank God, he gave some kids representation.
Representation.
Don't sad shame us. Because also
Sad
the
shame.
people don't sad shame. No, don't sad shame us. They'll be like, yeah, you're such an attention seeker.
Remember,
No, I'm
he would
sad.
say, he would just go, thanks for noticing me. We're like, yes. Yes, you're a donkey. You have a horrible life. You're miserable about everything. There are lots of people like that. You're going to encounter them in your life. Not these children who are always so happy and dancing and singing.
And to be honest, Winnie the Pooh for me represented guys who drink beer with the boobs. The way he's always in his shirt and chowing the honey and no
Chowing
underwear.
the honey, hey?
I'm like, I know this guy. I know this guy.
Uncles.
I know these uncles. That's a
Trying to
lager.
pull you.
Yeah, it's just
Oh boy, a pot of honey.
Remember?
and no one goes, dog, where's your pants?
And,
Like,
and Piglet was always super anxious.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're going to kill. Something's terrible's going to happen.
so Pooh was an enabler.
No, A.A. Milne actually
Or a
wrote those characters as different representations of mental health situations.
Because what Rabbit is ADHD or something
Yes,
like that.
no, Tigger, because Tigger's literally bouncing off the wall.
And he functions.
Oh
See?
boy, I'm bouncy, 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 fun, right? And then you got Rabbit. I think Rabbit was like
Obsessive compulsive?
Yes.
Wow,
yes,
guys.
yeah. Yes, this is news to you. So now Winnie the Pooh has just come alive for you. You're going to go and read it to your children
For me,
now.
he was just
Spoil
this
them.
guy drinks too much beer. Now it's become so much more.
Guy drinks so much.
Yeah.
I love
They
it.
all had. They
And he's
all.
always looking for his next fix. Ne?
No.
He's always like, I need honey right now. Yo.
And as Richard says in the comments, Winnie the Pooh was banned in China because some university students compared him to President Xi. That's true.
Yeah, he doesn't like that.
Doesn't like that.
That's
And
why he
then-
lost weight also, like, because they said he was even worried that he was sick. Yeah, he doesn't like being cold fat that night.
Ooh.
Where President Xi Jinping,
Ay.
he doesn't like any criticism.
Mm-mm. No, it's thin-skinned.
Yeah.
Almost like his friend just a little bit further up north in North Korea,
Yeah.
who blew his own uncle away in a cannon. Jesus.
Richard says Homer Simpson is the best role model. I agree.
You think so?
Yeah, because you have to do just enough to get through life. And he did. He lived the best life because he surrounded himself with enough to get away with just
No, but he was
enough.
also really stupid. And I've always believed if you're kind of stupid, life is easy.
Yeah.
Because you don't
Ignorance is bliss.
You don't overthink things.
Stupid is nice.
Yeah.
Stupid is
It's like if the president gives you a public, you're like, yay! Yay!
You don't think about the
the
country, the economy.
No, it's like we
Oh.
wanted a public holiday. The matrix was starting to ride. You're like, no, we don't care. We
I
just
love how he made it about them. Yeah, but they will lose focus. How? Since when?
You took them out of just 3 years ago. You took them all out of school
Rah.
and said, "Sorry, guys, you're on your own."
Yeah.
Now you're telling us so we can't have a holiday. But you are right. Like the average person is stupid, and the public holiday is like a gift from heaven.
Yeah.
They don't care about the economy.
No.
They're not interested in.
I actually thought he was going to mention the economy when he said you can't make it a holiday. We need to
No,
wait.
he doesn't care about the economy. When you've got billions.
Because we shut down. I feel like we shut down the country what's that period in April?
Yeah.
Where it's like for about 2-3 weeks,
It's
this
like-
country is just not functioning. It's like, why even are we here right now?
Yeah, because it's April, March, because it changes depending on
Yeah.
when Easter is. Yeah, so it's like
Sometimes you have 3 or 4 4-day weeks in a row.
And
And then
tho-
people just take them off.
Yeah, and those 4-day weeks are like it's a suggestion.
Yeah. But also now, this time of year, you can already feel people.
Oh yeah.
November comes around and you just see them winding down.
Dude, like no one showed up at work yesterday. Like I have a 9 to 5 student, right? No one showed up at work yesterday. People were just like, nah, it's cold. Also the rugby, like no, like it was just
Any excuse.
yeah,
The cold, the rugby,
rugby,
babalas.
like that.
My favorite was
Overdid
my
it during the
cousin.
weekend.
My favorite was my cousin. I remember we were drinking heavily and she had to be at work the following day. And I looked at the time. I was like, yo, friend, maybe we should wrap up because you're going to work tomorrow. And she goes, cuz I'm going to work, not an interview.
Like they already gave me the job. They already gave me the job. They knew what they signed up.
I'm not going to ask.
So again, like stupid is cool. Because life is
Even
so
in
much
relationships, hey baby, I had a flat tire. Hey, that's why, hey baby.
Oh, okay.
I say, okay, baby.
Why is there lipstick on your shirt?
This grandmother fan.
Also, because they forget we know things, baby. You're driving a run flat, baby. I know a run flat will get you here even at 100 kilometers per hour. But okay, you had a flat tire.
Stupid makes the world go round.
Stupid makes the world go round, my
We
friend.
must not underestimate the value of stupid.
Yeah.
We've come full circle this morning.
Give us that credit, by the way. Just speaking of full second, give us that credit. Isn't it we took the credit of those who sleep their way to the top or the middle?
Yes.
Can we also give credit to those who act stupid? so that they are given that thing because people think, yeah, I can control them. Then they're actually smart and they act dumb so that you let them in so that while they're in, they can do what needs to be done.
I know somebody, she doesn't really have a job. She doesn't really have responsibilities. No kids, no husband, no nothing. She basically is able to get everyone else in her life to do all the things she needs. And she has a very easy life. And people go, oh, well, she's got no ambition. She hasn't built a business. She hasn't got children. She hasn't got a husband. But she's got everybody else dancing around, making sure that she's happy. And she is happy. I mean, she complains, but she's happy.
You know, you just gotta respect people's hustle.
Yeah.
And that is a hell of a hustle. I mean, that's good work.
That's good work. That's focus also. Because you must learn people and know how to work
She
them.
can work people, and that's a skill.
And she has to carry on complaining so that they don't notice that she's actually happy.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So she finds little things to piss her off every day, and then people go, oh, you know, we got to keep her happy.
Keep her happy. Like, let me take her out on ice cream. Maybe she'll be
That's
pleasant.
so clever. That's the best way to live. Look at these guys. I saw prisoner Charlene of Monaco, Princess Charlene in Monaco. Prisoner, she's a prisoner. How often do you see her in public?
That was an interesting.
Alone,
never. She's always got chaperones. Like she darts off in a hurry. Catch her and put her back in the tower. Where you going? Where you going, Rapunzel? I saw they allowed her into the change room with her husband. With her husband to congratulate the Springboks. And I was like, and I thought, actually, she's also got it figured out. She's a princess. Her children are going to inherit a kingdom, which is the world's best tax haven. So she's a bit sad. Where? She knows.
So what? You don't have freedom. So you're a princess.
Your husband doesn't maybe love me as much as I'd hope. I've got this one friend too. She has an amazing life. Like she's a very, very vivacious, lovely, passionate, beautiful person. But she's landed with her ass in the butter because she basically had a kid with this dude who's got tons of cash. Tons. Bought her a house. He doesn't want to marry her though. And she's like, oh, my life's so hard. I'm like, honey,
She must be grateful.
are you
Wake up.
what are you smoking your socks? Like you've landed in prime position here. We were talking about people who are suffering and struggling in the world.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, but you know, what I really my fantasy was to get married and swept away, and you know, I would be in love for the rest of my life, and it would all be just like fairy tale. Like
Women, sometimes you let me down. Eat your money. Be happy. But you know, there are guys who live like that. I have now, I think in the past maybe 4 years now, learned of at least 5 couples where men have made babies outside of the marriage and the women they're married to are supporting those kids. And they're living off those women. They're unemployed.
That's
and they're living their
disgusting.
best lives.
Oh, that's disgusting.
You know?
Yeah, these stay-at-home husband types.
Yeah. And then he takes advantage because he knows legally, because they're married in community of property, she has to pay for those kids. Like if she doesn't, the mistress can just go take her to court. And I mean, that looks bad to HR at work that you're being taken to court.
By the husband's
maintenance.
mistress.
For maintenance. As a woman.
No, you know what I mean? You're paying for a meeting you were never invited to. So, you
That's
know,
bad.
there are some people, you know, I think across the genders, there's clever people.
Yeah, but also these guys have figured it out, right?
Right.
You think so?
Right.
I think there's nothing
No,
more.
it's disgusting, right? No, it's the
sad,
most
but-
unmanliest thing ever. But
Yeah.
you're just like, I'm just gonna pretend to love this one and then make babies.
I met someone last year, and I said to him, "What do you do?" And he said, "No, I'm a stay-at-home husband."
That's nice. Why can't you be a stay-at-home wife and not be a stay-at-home
so there's a
husband?
bunch of us, and we're at like I think it was a braai or something. All the men immediately, like they didn't just walk away, but you can see they just shut down. They were like, "This motherfucker is not going to be taken seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not a person we need to spend a single moment of our time
I
with."
don't support this level of judgment.
I made an effort. You would have been proud of me. I made an effort
to talk to him.
I said to him, so how's that working out? What is your day-to-day routine? I like pretended to be interested for a bit. Back in my mind, I'm like, this is the totally devalued human being. Not because he's doing like the housework, because he isn't. He's basically
he isn't?
No, there's a domestic worker.
He's a house plant.
He's house plant. Exactly. He's a plant.
No, I thought you were gonna.
No. He's
that
not.
I don't support.
I thought he was making lunches or what.
So he has to take the kids to school once or twice in the week, but the wife's still picking up all the slack. And look, she's got a very high-powered job by the sound of things, and I'm all for like equal opportunities. And if women can get to the top of the corporate ladder, and the husband has to pick up some of the flack with the family, that's fine. But this guy was he was like a blob.
Yeah.
Does he look healthy? Maybe he really does the things that need to be done in the bedroom. Because if I have a mandingo, he doesn't have to work.
Yeah.
He's not good looking.
He's not good looking.
He's not very fit.
He's not.
No, so I don't know what he does. Plays video games.
It sounds like witchcraft. Because for me, I'm like, when you walk in, baby, they must see why you're a house husband. It was like, yeah, he's good looking from the waist down. That explains why he's.
So you said if you had a mandingo,
free pass.
Aye, proper. I'll take care of you. Say you just.
So that's another category. Let's give the Gen Z something to really moan about.
Mm.
There's a category of privilege that you just either have or you don't. You got big titties or a nice big mandingo, then
something to throw in there.
Then you could throw. That's privilege.
Actually, to be a house husband, everything must work. All the digits must.
Yeah.
You must be so good at it. I must forget everything. I must.
It's like those people who are married to sex therapists or massage therapists or whatever. You always assume that they have free access to a massage or they can, or their husband or wife knows how to do all the things in the bedroom, but they probably don't. They probably don't. It's probably a miserable existence.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if it's old age, guys, but ever since I'm in my early 40s now, and I all these judgments I used to have before, I am falling away because now I'm going, let me consider this person's life for a second. So even these young girls who have their habibis and stuff, I'm going, that's a full-time job.
It's hard work.
And your retirement is unfortunately not in your hands because things are going to happen to your body naturally, and you better have a retirement plan. You know what I mean? I was speaking to a gynecologist who was telling me actually about some of the clientele she gets. And she said, it's so tragic because some of them you can see her body is changing and she can see she's becoming less and less popular. So now she needs to do a definite plan for the rest of her life. So some are smart. They put away money. They're educating themselves. They're actually going to do something. Others need to convince someone to marry them. So they apply themselves to that one guy. That one dude, and they hope for the best. But she was saying a lot of them are going, I need to get myself pregnant.
Oof.
And that broke my heart.
Oh, breaks my heart for the poor guy who's going to be lumped with her.
No, for me, I'm going, if I was a dude, I'm like, bring it here, I'll take care of it. Like, I think in this day and age, that trap makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because me, as long as I can throw money at you, my friend, maybe there's the reason why I wasn't born a man. Because I'm going, that's one trap that's never made sense to me.
What, like pregnancy?
A baby. Yeah. I'm like, how is that a reason to...
But it's your meal ticket because either I marry you because you have a baby with me, or I throw money at you for the kid.
It's entrapment.
It's entrapment. I give you money for the kid. Like you get to call me by.
I will make your life a living hell. Yeah. I will have a PI who watches everything you're doing, and I will say that, hey, I gave you 15,000. You spent 14,208. Where is the 720? That is, bring all of the receipts. I will audit you like a mofo. That is for the child, not for you.
Not for you.
I made a child, not a you. Don't play with me. Oh my goodness.
But I wonder how, now you talk about the stats of like antidepressants earlier, but I wonder what the stats are on how many people are in situations, in relationships where there's use like that. Because it's use.
Because even guys can trap women with babies.
Yeah.
One was much, much younger. There's a dude I dumped, and he went, I should have listened to my brother. He said, I must get you pregnant. I'm like, how the hell do you say that when someone's breaking up with you?
I hope you never speak to that brother again.
Dude, I was so shocked. I was like, also, why are you telling me this? And also, sis, what's wrong with your brother? Because his brother was a whole married man. So now I'm questioning everything. But imagine, because in my head, I was always like, it's us who's always trying to make the baby. Yeah, this whole dude, bruh.
Wants to just be pregnant.
You pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, and then what would have happened?
Yeah, then you would be forced to stay, I guess.
You don't think I can walk to Maristopes? Yes, sis. Hey, these guys. Yeah, I was shocked. I was so shocked. What are you laughing at?
You don't think I can walk to Maristopes? That's the line of the show. Watch all the pro-life people come up to you now. Remember, you're in America now. You can't talk like that.
You can't talk about this. Like, yeah, there is no Roe v. Wade in America.
It's my favorite opening line now when I do stand up. I say to them, guys, I had 3 kids in 5 years, and abortion is legal where I'm from. I don't know what's wrong with me. That's 2023. I cannot believe the conversations we're still having in 2023. Women's bodies are still being policed to that degree, friend.
You know what? America, like Kagame said, these are not our problems.
These are different problems.
Guys, Americans, forgive me. But America is a third world country that went to a private school. That's all. It is a third world country. I'm convinced that's why I keep coming home. Because
you're like, let me just go to an actual. Let me go to an actual third world country.
So, what do you think is going to happen with the elections? I mean, because they started campaigning, I don't know, in the 70s. Because both Biden and Trump are in their fucking 70s. Look at what you've got to choose. Americans
and the powder.
Americans have got a choice of 2 horrific people, and they don't realize this is a problem.
I don't think America's ever really had a choice between good people, really. It's always been who's worse than who. Let's try and get the better, I think. Because, I mean, as an outsider, every time I listen to them speak, I go, this is all sounding, this is uncomfortable. But then, you're the visitor at dinner, so you must just shut up and eat, know. So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. I should ask my firstborn. He's fascinated with that nonsense.
Is he?
Oh my gosh, it disturbs me.
Why?
Because he doesn't stop talking about it. I must pretend I know what he's talking about. And that time I have no idea.
Which side is
I don't know if he's blue or red. He's always got an opinion about all of them.
Yeah, he's a donkey or an elephant.
He's basically just an American.
Yeah.
That's what he is. He's just an American. They've got opinions about everything. You know what it's like. I mean, I've been to America enough times to know. You sit down with Americans at dinner or whatever. It all starts off very friendly. So, you're from South Africa. Nice to meet you. Or like, oh, where are you from? And that kind of thing. So
you speak Afrikaans.
You say Afrikaans. Did you go to Wits as well? Wits? Like Dr. Matthew? So, Sanally. What's Sanally?
Sanally.
So anyway, you have this conversation. And it slowly starts to get into, so, do you have any strong opinions on abortion?
I love that. It's always a strong opinion. They never, what do you think?
And you're like, well, now you don't want to like immediately divide the table because you know that's coming.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the one who's responsible for it. So you're like, I don't know, not really. Meanwhile, the other side, you're like, I do actually, but I'm not going to bring it up here. Like, what do you think of that Donald Trump?
That's another big trap.
I really don't think about him very much. I think about him all the time. He on my mind 24/7. You're like, shit, I get out of this.
That's when I knew.
What are you ordering for supper?
That's how I knew I don't understand American politics, because when Trump was being taken to prison, so there we are in Atlanta, these things happening.
Oh, yeah. It's actually happening in Atlanta.
The black turnout to support him.
Yeah, huge. There's no one talks about this.
Huge numbers, bigly.
Huge. I have a lot of blacks. I got so many blacks.
Beautiful blacks.
You do know, ironically, that a few other people were arrested that night, but they left a black guy behind. The one black guy got arrested. So thank you for your support there, brother. But you know how it be.
Yeah. And this is Georgia.
You probably are a real criminal.
We got you on this.
Did you see this quickly? Because we got like a minute left of this. The one congressman, I can't remember his name now. He pulled the fire alarm on purpose so that they couldn't vote on some bill that they had to pass to keep the government going or whatever.
Yeah.
So this guy, he knows the cameras all over the building. He goes down into the bowels of Congress and he goes and he pulls a fire alarm and he pulls the signs off the walls. And then he goes, that was a mistake. I didn't know what was happening. I was trying to get through. I was in a hurry to get my vote in. You're like, dude, you are as stupid as those people who want the public holiday more than they care about the economy. And he's in charge in that country. So don't think just because we have Becky Cele and Fikile Mbalula and all these people that we're the only one with stupid politicians. You guys in America, I'm saying you, Tumi Morake, because now you're half American.
Those are my people. That's what's up. Mm-hmm. You want to say about us?
Your people are just as stupid. Anyway, very good. Boitumelo says Tumi should visit weekly. Oh, please, she's got shit to do. But I mean, we love having you here.
And we don't pay.
I think you are probably... No, I do think you're a returning champion. You've been on the show more times than any other guest that I've had.
Yeah, it was part of a custody agreement.
Yeah, now I got to go and write that check. Listen, thank you, my darling. It's so nice to see you.
It's great to see you. Thank
we
you
love you
so
lots.
much.
And thank you for waking up extra early on a cold morning and risking your mental health to be with us. Because let me tell you, this is not a good place for people who are fragile.
All the way here to look gloomy.
Gloomy. How's that guy who called you gloomy?
Sanili.
But also the word gloomy.
Was Sanele.
But gloomy is nice. Gloomy sounds like someone who binge watches Harry Potter. Call me gloomy.
It's quite exciting. It's like being a goth when we were kids.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so dark.
Yeah.
All right, I love it. Tumi Morake, are you plugging anything that you need us to know about?
No, I've done everything already.
Okay, so
everything else I can't talk about because it's contracts.
Ooh, exciting.
Yes,
Very exciting.
I'll be on TV.
Plural.
That's all they need to know.
Plural.
Yes. Oh, yes. Contra record. You think a ticket here is cheap, my friend? I wouldn't fly here for free.
And remember, she only flies first class.
Not like you.
No, I was
Future clients, you heard Gareth Cliff. I only fly first or business. Thank you very much.
When she gets on the plane, she always turns left.
Yeah.
Okay, I know we don't have much time, but for real, I once got sick from flying on economy on a long haul flight. My physician told me, he even called it economitis or something.
Oh my
and
God.
he said, do not fly economy again because that's why you're that sick. True story. I'm not making it up.
No, this is true. Like I used to take the
This is
bus
what
from
rich
school.
people do, is they get their doctors to tell them shit like that so that justify.
They give you this Dr. Matthews.
She's got the phony diplomas on her wall saying, I have economitis. Poor Shame, did you hear about Dumi? She's got economitis. She can't fly at the back of the plane. She gets deep vein thrombosis and she has to keep her leg up, otherwise it swells. And her tits get sore.
That's all the time we have today, folks.
What a lot of nonsense. You know what? People have been on buses doing long haul in South Africa from Cape Town to Joburg. She can't fly economy. What a diva. There's the real queen of South African comedy, ladies and gentlemen. This is her. You're looking at her now. She can fly whatever class she wants. She's earned it. All right. We love you. Thank you, my darling. Thanks. Yeah, giving us a charity kisses.
Yeah, like to the peasants.
Do you want some cake, you peasants? Hang on, let me see what's left over on my tray after I finish my first class meal.
It was the Judas kiss.